We'll get to David Samson in just a second here because you've got the baseball lockout, and I don't know that a whole lot of people listening to this understand the business at the level that David does in sports. So I look forward to hearing what he has to say about the lockout. But before we get to that, Mike Ryan has been a genuine insider the last few days. I've seen him on calls regarding the Heat and tampering, and he's doing reporting, and he's leaving the room in order to gather news, and he's a mover and shaker now in Miami.
What is happening to me?
I don't understand. It came out of nowhere. I've seen people ask, when did that guy become the insider? Isn't he the guy who shouts far away from the microphone as the hockey guy?
I just want to be me, dude.
He wants to be versatile.
Win over the Caps, by the way. BT Dubs, brunette, digging deep, doing all the right things. How did we lose to the Kraken? God damn it.
4-1. What the hell happened? 4-1 at home.
Let me tell you something. If I ever see a Kraken out there in the Pacific Ocean, I've got words.
Okay.
Got words.
I don't think put on the poll, Guillermo. Do words do anything against the Kraken? The University of Miami, though, I am now hearing this will be wrapped up in some form in a week, or they're hoping
by next
to.
Week.
The power brokers are trying to wrap this up by next week, but you've been working this a hell of a lot harder than I have. And
I was at a dinner meeting last night, and I got up from the table and I left for 30 minutes to work the beats.
You are a total loon. The last couple of days you've decided I want to be sort of Woj, but for everything. I don't want to just be limited to being just Woj or Schefter. I want to be both Woj and Schefter.
It's absurd. What's going on here is I care deeply about this program. I have a media platform. I am technically a member of the media. I do have sources, but I am driven by the motivation of wanting the program that I give a considerable amount of money to year over year to raise its standards and turn things around and remind me of my youth. There is no excuse for what's happening. We've done that time and time again, but it's a weird dynamic.
Before we get to the information, I do want all the listeners who may just be picking this up at this moment to understand what it is that's happening with Mike and this program. I know he annoys you and me. I went to the school with all of his homerism and the way that he pollutes the show with so much University of Miami talk when the University of Miami has not been relevant for a really long time. And it feels like we spend too much time talking about that program. But he cares about it. And again, I went to the school. He spends his money as a booster for the school. I do not. He cares about the program, and it hurts him to give money. It hurts because he's giving.
It does hurt.
He's giving a lot of money. It hurts to, and then go to the games and be sad because there are 20,000 people there, and you're losing to Virginia. So
just know that when I made this financial commitment to the University of Miami, I wasn't expecting no longer working with Chelsea. So that was a miscalculation on my part.
Yes, and then Chelsea, for those of you who don't know, I mean, I can say this. You're not saying it for some reason.
No, we love Chelsea here. We love Chelsea Football Club. They were great partners. They moved in a different direction.
David, do you know what happened?
I look forward to working with them in the future.
David, do you know what happened? Mike Ryan, we'll get to the information in a second, but Mike Ryan was working for Chelsea.
It's the David Samson show, and it's become an inquisition of mine.
No, because I want his opinion on this. He's working for Chelsea, and it's a propaganda podcast that he's trying to apply journalistic sensibilities to. It's a team broadcast, but he's trying to make it fair, and he makes it good, and it becomes America's most popular soccer podcast. And then I don't know what happened, but they parted ways amicably, evidently, and they turned Chelsea Mic'd Up, which had an M-I-K in it for Mike, into the same thing. It looks exactly the same, and they just changed the K to a C, and there Mike was erased. When it became Chelsea Mic'd Up and Mike Ryan got erased, and they just saved his salary and kept the feed, and it was devious doings.
It's just business.
It's nothing personal. Nothing personal.
It's nothing personal. You got to respect your value in this industry, and I put my foot down thinking that there was a mutual respect of one's value, and there wasn't.
You played your card a little too hard, I would say, with Chelsea, Mike.
Honestly,
just a tiny bit too hard.
Yeah, probably, but I am really enjoying my time with my daughter and not having to live and die with every game, and in some weeks do multiple recordings, so I'm enjoying my break from it. But let's talk about the university.
We will in a second, but the starting point on this is, can you get a renegotiated deal as a Golden Cane where you go back and look? My situation with Chelsea mic'd up changed. Can I have $4,300 back, a percentage back of what it is that I've given you, just because my circumstances change?
Yeah, just take 2 of the seats in the box. Honestly, that's really a conversation. That's an in-family fight, by the way. Totally left at the
Do you have insight into Miami because you're a booster? Is that why you have all these sources?
So I have, David, I mentioned this yesterday on the show. The booster thing certainly opened up doors for me and gave me sources in certain parts of the program that I didn't have access to before. But I have really good sources, and not at every level, but damn near every level of this specific search. So it's actually really helpful because this particular search is quite muddied. There is a very large board. There are a lot of people that think they have power. There are some people that have real power. There are people that are playing the media through traditional means, the way that you've articulated on this show about how you wanted to get some messaging out there. And there are some Board of Trustee people with real power that are just straight up wilding on Twitter. Just wilding. So I'll get into some of that.
You need to make a call, though. See, the thing about being an insider and a source, if you're going to be in the big leagues, you have to take a position, you have to make a call, and you have to be first, and you have to be right.
Well, I prefer being right.
You know what?
And Bruce Feldman is going to be first on here's my prediction. If it's Mario Cristobal, guarantee you Bruce Feldman is going to be first there. Set him to mobile alerts.
David, you said something interesting there, because I believe what Mike is doing here is more valuable because he's got sources at every layer of this. He's able to actually cut through the bullshit and get to nuanced opinions and, buoyed by facts, telling you where they are minute by minute, exactly where they are, because he knows who the power brokers are. But that doesn't mean he's going to get the coach first. Like, that can leak beforehand in any number of places. And that's you're not interested in being first. You're giving people an accurate appraisal of what's going on in the program. So give them the latest update.
Yeah, that's my motivation. Give you guys the most transparent, accurate view of what's going on, because it's hard, because there's a lot of competing factions here. And my primary motivation is just to elevate the program and turn this thing around. That's what I care about. So last night, I told you in the days leading up to yesterday, not a great sign if your name is out in the media, because the firm has a lot of power. The firm, their job primarily is to not leak names. They want repeat business. They want to be trusted when it comes to these searches. So the firm is not leaking out names. I don't have a direct source with that firm. I wish it did. Shout out to Turnkey. So
are firms like that useful, David? Are firms, search firms like that, worth any amount of money?
Not at all.
What's bizarre?
There's not one candidate. Firms are used to identify candidates who you would not otherwise be able to identify when you are looking to fill a position. And when the Hurricanes position is open, any candidate who you want knows that it's available, and any candidate who you can't think of that you want knows it's available, so will reach out and contact you.
To David's point, it's odd how much the decision maker, the key decision maker in this, Dr. Frank, is leaning on the firm itself to actually cultivate candidates and help make a decision, because historically, universities have very strong opinions about the candidates, and they sort of employ a firm to make sure there are no skeletons in the closet, make sure you're not embarrassed by this candidate. Right, David?
Yeah, that's it. Background checks, things like that. They do vetting. But when you're doing a position like what the Hurricanes are doing, there are other easier, cheaper ways that you can vet and do social media checks and make sure. But again, professional teams have a problem. The Mets hire people and they don't realize what's going on, and then they have to fire them. So there are a lot of landmines that exist. But in theory, when you hire Turnkey, and I know those guys very well, they're not going to come. So if you want to source in Turnkey, I'll bring you right to the top. But the problem is that they have no interest in having you as their speaking point, right, as their source, because they get business from other teams by definition, not talking to people.
It does make it interesting, though, and this is what this is what Frank has to do in this situation, is lean on the search firm that is impartial, or trying to be, instead of the power brokers and the people who have vested interests and agendas, and he doesn't know who his snakes are and who aren't snakes. Like, he can think things, but he's got to go to somebody that's more neutral than the people doing this.
Right. So I identified one board of trustee member that was leaking stuff out through conventional means. I've put a name on it. It's David Epstein. He's pretty toothless in this. Toothless so much that I can say that what he was doing over the last couple of weeks was effective in making Miami look like a circus. I hate to know that that's his intention, but he kind of represents an old guard and an old mentality that I'm not a fan of.
Should we smoke him out? Epstein.
I have. No,
No,
but
but
I'm not. Fans are like, I wanted the smoke, and then I saw how Miami fans reacted in his Twitter mentions. Like, just so what? There's like 1 million board members. Not all of them are going to see eye to eye. Also, not all of them leak stuff out that make Miami seem like a circus. So I'm not the biggest fan of him or his mentality, but I'm not out here to dox someone and for you to go with his mentions and act like a child. All right? That's why you have a board. You have a board to have a bunch of different opinions. Some of those people are going to be pro Blake, pro Manny, pro status quo. David Epstein just so happens to be one of those people. I flatly disagree. I hate that he's using the media to put that agenda out because it makes Miami look like a circus. I thought yesterday Miami was a lot less a circus behind the scenes than I kind of do this morning, just because Dr. Frank is relying on a tighter circle. And we've identified that circle: Joe Echeverria and Rudy Fernandez. Rudy Fernandez really a more front-facing person.
Why are you laughing? Wait a minute. Hold on. Samson's laughing at this, and Rudy Fernandez isn't talking to reporters. This guy's like...
Rudy Fernandez is talking to some reporters. But he's leaving crumbs and he's talking to reporters with some intention, but he is playing it closer, certainly a lot closer to the vest than David Epstein or one other board of trustee member that we'll get to here in a bit. That I'm a fan of.
Why is Samson laughing?
Because that's not a circle. That's not a trust circle.
That's a triangle.
Okay.
It's just a triangle.
All right. So
frankly, a straight line, because Rudy Fernandez is way more involved in this. I would put him even above Frank, but that's just me.
The final say will be Dr. Frank, and he is leaning on Rudy. But Rudy is caught between two worlds, and this kind of poked its head out last night with all the Eddie Nunez stuff. Now, the Eddie Nunez stuff I found a little funny. I think he overplayed his hand a little bit. Eddie Nunez was indeed a real candidate because he was a real candidate favored by the Columbus contingent, just like Jurich was. But then when scrutinized by a firm, the firm has different opinions. Now, I have told you repeatedly, as much as I want Mario Cristobal, I would be a little apprehensive about handing over all the keys to Mario Cristobal. No one in college football has that kind of deal. He doesn't have that kind of deal at Oregon.
But they don't have an athletic director right now, and so the both positions are open, David. And coaches are in such high demand right now with the salaries that you can pay them in power. If you tell Cristobal he can run the program,
well, he's just not going to. And are you willing to die on that? I think there's a compromise here, like maybe putting an Alonzo Highsmith or Gino Torretta in a director of football operations role, and then Mario feels like he has another ally. It's not necessarily 2v1 because AD has final say, but he feels like he has an ally and more security that he even has right now in a program like Oregon.
Can Cristobal, is it possible from here that Cristobal can call his shot on the AD, that the power dynamics in the sport have changed so much? You're now competing for coaches and names.
I don't think so, because I don't think he can just flatly name an AD, and I think that would be a dangerous situation. As much as I want the program to turn around and as much as I think Mario Cristobal is a right fit, I would stop short of that personally.
But when you get into bidding wars, Mike, when you get to bidding wars,
the bidding wars is money. You make the money work, and I think Miami will certainly make the money work. What is not good if you're Team Cristobal here is that there are very clearly Columbus contingent people that are frustrated they're not getting 100% their way, which leads us to, we got into the Jurich stuff a few days ago. He was obviously favored by that, but was pretty dismissed quickly by the firm and possibly Dr. Frank. That's speculative, but we talked about the problems there. Eddie Nunez was an interesting candidate. Obviously, Columbus contingent favored him. He was a New Mexico athletic director. I had sources over in New Mexico that were like, this can't be for real. Is this guy for real? But he was legitimately favored by some board of trustee members and some people with ties to Mario Cristobal. And what he did yesterday was, I think he overplayed his hand. He was talking to some members of the media, and I started getting a little skeptical when I started seeing his name so much out there, because I know exactly how the firm is playing this. But it's not like it was fake and made up. He was a candidate. I think he broke up with Miami before Miami could publicly break up with him to a degree. I think he certainly had frustrations because I know for a fact he feels like he got different messaging along the way, but I don't think he got different messaging from admin and the firm.
But how can you not get different messaging when no one knows who the hell's in charge here?
Well, no, I know who is in charge here. It's Dr. Frank. It's Dr. Frank. Rudy has a lot of power here, certainly, but he's caught between two worlds because he's a part of that Columbus contingent. They certainly wanted Eddie Nunez. The firm, I mean, he wasn't up to the standard of the firm right now, and maybe if I'm speculating, you can't possibly hand over all the keys to one candidate. Whether
David, you agree with that?
Are you asking me?
The candidate here is like Mario Cristobal. You can't give him basically.
Do you understand the difference, Mike, is that you're not hiring a GM and a coach. You're hiring an athletic director and a coach. An athletic director has way broader responsibilities.
Precisely.
Which is why, Dan, a coach cannot serve as both. And a coach cannot choose an AD because it's not like the AD is putting together the roster the way a GM is or figuring out who the on-field personnel is the way a GM would.
But in this case, I believe that if the football program runs all, I do believe in what's happened in the last week, we're headed toward college sports being so much more professional that if a Nick Saban or somebody says, I'm coming in and I handpick my guy and he's my administrative assistant. He's an athletic director, but he's just here to handle the little things for the program. I'm in charge. I believe coaches can come upon that power very quickly and very soon.
So let's actually cover, like, that's some of the reporting. I don't think Nunez was favored by the firm very clearly. I think he got out in front of it. He got his name boosted. He's a New Mexico athletic director, for heaven's sakes. But I do know that he was favored by Columbus, the Columbus guys, which is Marcus Lemonis, Jose Mas, Rudy Fernandez being one of them. Alonzo Highsmith has ties. Mario Cristobal obviously has ties. Let's talk about Marcus Lemonis because this is a really funny dynamic. You know how I chastised David Epstein for trying to remain anonymous and go through traditional media and get his message out there that just perpetuated this loser mentality. Lemonis, I like him. I know he wants what's best for the program. I know he wants stark change in culture. But have you seen his Twitter likes?
No.
Go through his Twitter likes because he is a part of this Columbus contingent that is very clearly frustrated that they're not getting 100% their way. It is telling. There are tea leaves there that would suggest
Tea leaves have made an appearance, Samson.
Well, forget tea leaves. I know for a fact Marcus Lemonis was not happy in Tallahassee, 100%. And that was through actions of Blake James, and that was through Manny Diaz's coaching. All right, so I feel pretty confidently in saying Lemonis isn't the biggest Manny Diaz fan. If you go through his Twitter likes, you would have that notion confirmed to you. He's not the biggest fan of the search firm entirely, because if you go through his Twitter likes, he's liking that Notre Dame isn't using a search firm. The Columbus contingent would very clearly like to push through their candidate because it helps lock in the coach that will change this culture and bring Miami back in their eyes. They wanted it with Jurich, and that's why the firm wasn't activated for a week, frustratingly so, to a lot of Miami fans. They wanted it now with Eddie Nunez. I don't know what candidate they would find sufficient. I do think some of the Gino Torretta stuff is real, and I do think that unlike some of the other people,
it makes sense.
He does kind of hold up under the scrutiny of an AD firm. There were reports out there that said he had the AD job locked up. That wasn't true. No one has it locked up right now. There were reports saying that the Board of Trustees had decided on him. That I told you yesterday, that's not how this works. But I do think ultimately what Mario Cristobal will have to decide from is, yeah, you'll have money. Oregon will probably match whatever Miami puts in front of your plate, right? And you're not running the show there. You have an AD that works with you and supports you, but he's your boss. Will you sign up for having indications that Miami's on the right track? He's a unique candidate because he doesn't need to be convinced of what a fully empowered coach here with resources can do. He's lived it, which is great and easy because that's a tough road to hoe for a lot of candidates, right? Given the national perception of Miami. But if we give you a 2-1, if we give you Alonzo Highsmith, who you wanted to bring on at Oregon, or Gino Torretta, who loves this football program as much as you do.
Or both of them.
Yeah, if we give you that kind of support, It's not going to overtake the final say that the AD has, but you won't feel like it's you versus them. And ideally, they're going to be all in lockstep. Impression that I get is Plan A is still Cristobal. They would prefer Mario Cristobal certainly being in favor of whoever is hired. They're just not going to hand keys to the castle to him. David, I'm curious what you think about this setup. This is obviously kooky, not the way things go. It's a little more circusy than I thought it was yesterday, but I'm actually kind of encouraged by the fact that we're not handing over all the keys to one football head coach.
A little less.
A little less power, a little less keys to the castle, fewer keys to the entire castle, I guess, to Mario Cristobal, considering there's an entire athletic program to run here.
It feels like you're just hedging, though, because if you have the right guy and your interest as a booster is getting the football program back into the position that you think it rightly deserves to be, which I'm not sure it rightly deserves to be because it hasn't been there in so long and you're holding on to something from so many years ago. But what's wrong with giving the keys to someone and giving them the most power possible? And you just say, hey, we're bringing in a Bill Belichick type, or we're bringing in somebody who has done it before, a Nick Saban type, and we're letting him do whatever he wants because that's how desperate we are. The keys to the castle argument comes from ownership directive when things are so bad that they need to have some sort of runway of credibility where someone is in charge of everything. And then if they fail, it's totally their fault because, hey, it can't be me anymore because they made every decision. So I would think you'd want someone to have that.
If I may, I don't just want the football program to return to the glory days. That's obviously the program that matters most to me, but I want all of the athletics to be elevated. And I think with Miami, there is already an example of why you don't give one entity, one family, one cartel, one contingent all the power, because Miami has a situation right now because Blake James had a fundraising background. He favored the DeMare family. Paul DeMare is one of the biggest donors in that school. Guess who the baseball coach is? His son. Now you have a situation in which that baseball team is underperforming. It's kind of a messy situation. If you bring in a new AD, he's going to evaluate that once great baseball program and be like, we got to get this guy out of here. Now you've pissed off a donor that's recently come into some health issues, but it's a dicey situation. You gave the entire program the keys to that castle to one family, and now you're underperforming and you seemingly have no way out.
Well, let me ask both of you this question, because, David, I think in most instances you would say that you have to have a clear and firm leader, and Mike is saying more broadly, you don't give the keys to one family. But may I suggest, is this a stupid thing to suggest, if the family you're giving the keys over are a whole bunch of people that are the only ones who actually lived the last time that Miami was good, that you're using all the resources you have, not just Ed Reed, but you're giving jobs to, if you really want to get in this game, okay, here come Gino Torretta, Mario Cristobal, and Alonzo Highsmith, and the administrative people that they need so that they could protect Hurricane Lore. Like, Gino's a good business mind. Like, why are we, do we need to give it to one person? Does it have to be a power struggle, or can it be the family from the past getting together? All of these guys, like, man, Mario can just call Gino. They're boys like, look at what they went through. Like, these people, Alonzo Highsmith. Now, I don't know if it gets too messy there, but can't you be creative and figure something like that out?
Do you know what's actually happening, though, is that what Frank has to do, he's got a little piece of paper and a calculator when he's talking to Rudy, and they're talking to the boosters and they're talking to the board members, and they're actually doing calculations based on who's going to be upset with what hire and who's going to give what amount with what hire. Because it's like endowing a chair, right? If you can support a faculty member and you will pay to endow that chair, that faculty member will get tenure and will be a part of your organization. So there's more math going on than I think that you're giving credit for. And that's Frank's job, frankly, as president. He's got to get the most money into the organization, which is Miami, in order not just to spread it between baseball and football, but it is to spread it to all the sports and then to all the capital facilities and all the other expenses of the university. So I believe the winner of this sweepstakes will have everything to do with who on the board of trustees will end up giving the most money to support the hire that they decide on.
I don't think that answers my question, though, of how this can be done creatively with all of these power brokers from a different time that are trying to get in the game together. Why not use all of the resources? If they're all boys, they're all friends. Gino DeMare was a player soon after their time. Like they're the guys who built it.
You have to have a clear line chain of command. You can't have a four-headed monster.
No, but so how do you do it creatively?
And if I may, you need to have people with an administrative collegiate background. You have to.
No, but
this is how you can get Lynn Swan.
I understand, Mike. I'm not saying just hire. Yes, but I'm saying make the athletic directors handle the paperwork, the bureaucracy.
I'm with that.
Like I'm saying make the athletic director someone who has power, but no, you know who we've entrusted this program to? This group of people.
Yeah, football is ruling all. Like, even though I mentioned the other athletics, they've committed $20 to $30 additional million, and that's the floor, by the way, to the football program. Like, the only money that I'm hearing about being thrown around and resources being thrown around right now, they understand football, there's trickle-down economics with the football program. That's their central focus. I do think having someone that Mario Cristobal obviously wanted to hire over in Oregon, like an Alonzo Highsmith, as an ally, as someone of influence, someone with a talent evaluation background that can help with the portal and such, someone that can go into a room with an athletic director, and if you need backup, he is there for you as the right answer. But I do think Final Say needs to go to that athletic director. I think they need to be more business ops, more comms experience base if this is indeed the setup, because you have people that understand what the football program is that probably don't have much interest in scheduling volleyball.
Can we reach out to Toretta and Alonzo Highsmith? I'd like to talk to just both of them. I think
they're not really talking. Like
I just
we
think
can
we
try.
can have an honest conversation about
it's
just
not
stuff.
Good. Let me be abundantly clear. If your name is out there right now, it's not a good thing. It hasn't been a good thing for damn near anyone. And I think they would be wise to button up. I have actually reached out to Lamonis. I haven't heard back. I've sent him a couple messages. I'm like, you're trying to talk through your likes. He knows what he's doing. And credit to him, he's putting his name on it to a degree. It's kind of the same thing as Epstein is doing, but he's doing it anonymously and from like a totally different mindset that I don't agree with. I'm down with the Columbus contingent's effort to raise the bar here. I'm just a little apprehensive to give him all the power.
David, let's switch over to the big sports story of the day, which is baseball locking out for the first time in a very long time. Why are you laughing?
Because I guess it depends on your audience. We just had 38 minutes of what some people would say is the biggest sports story of the day, which is what Mike was releasing in terms of his news, Ray Miami. What was the news that you released, Mike, exactly?
That I gave you insight on the Eddie Nunez story.
It was context. The Eddie
you don't
Nunez
think that was
story,
news? Like,
the Eddie Nunez story is not the biggest story in sports. The lockout in baseball.
This is the local hour. It's the biggest story on the local hour, David. Welcome to your weekly local hour appearance.
Listen, I have great respect for the number one show in the country, and what you decide is the number one story. I was merely asking, what exactly did we learn in the last 38 minutes?
What we learned is that the Columbus contingent doesn't have all the power, and they are frustrated. And is Mario Cristobal willing, we can speculate, is Mario Cristobal willing to die on the hill that he gets either everything or nothing? It's actually interesting because you have Rudy Fernandez who's caught between two different worlds. Why are you laughing?
Why are you laughing?
You don't think so?
I'm laughing.
Are you saying that this is just not a newsy bite?
What are you
like?
laughing
How can
at?
I say?
Yeah, this is
how
not,
can I fit this into
I
a
was
headline?
arguing before you started that this is the context that people need, and David's just telling you, hey, what we've spent the last 38 minutes doing. Can you tell us what the news is you're breaking? And you're weaving a tapestry of taking people inside, but the news is about Eddie Nunez, and nobody wants Eddie Nunez news. Like nobody was asking
Here's the
for that.
news Niaz. All right, here's the news Niaz.
I was going to try that, but I was afraid of it. I thought I was going to get it wrong.
Yeah, I even kind of.
I feel like you could have given us that in a 4-minute block.
And people wouldn't have cared about Eddie
Nunez. But there's nuance here.
Either.
There's nuance, and you have a sports business background and a collegiate administrative experience, not necessarily so much, David, but I'm curious about some of these things off of you, but you're just looking at me kind of funny, and maybe you're speaking for the audience, which would be the first time in recorded history.
That's okay.
No, hold on. That's my point. I am not pretending to speak for the audience because you know your audience, and you are way better at your job than I am at mine. I was trying to understand what's the takeaway.
I believe he's got you cornered on this, Mike, because you have been talking for 40 minutes. And
the takeaway is that there are very influential people with actual real power that are growing frustrated with the firm's power. And if you're interested in power grabbing and power dynamics and circus optics, I think the most recent development with growing public frustration with people that actually have influence, like Lamonis, all right? I think that's actually news.
Why are you laughing? You're laughing at Lamonis? Why, Samson, why are you laughing at Lamonis?
I'm laughing at that is an interesting piece of content to give to people, except when you say that there's a power dynamic, you have to go the next step, which is which is the most powerful, who are the two competing factions, and who should we expect to, at the end of the day, be the ones raising their arms saying, I am the omniscient, powerful
Well, thank
group.
you for listening to me, David. I made it very clear this is Dr. Frank's call.
Yes.
He's got an inner triangle of Joe Echeverria and Rudy
He's
Fernandez.
the president of Miami.
Yeah, and
That's
he's leaning.
the epiphany?
He's leaning heavily on this search firm
That
in
is
ways
the
that most
news
people
that
don't.
we've gotten
Yes.
after 40 minutes.
Congratulations,
the
you
president
cracked
of
it.
the university is in charge of the university. That is correct. That is the news that was just broken.
He's never driven
My
this
bad.
before. Well, that's revelatory when it comes to Miami because he's always taken a back seat to shit, and that's why we're in the position that we're in right now.
Yep.
Now, I don't necessarily trust him. This could all blow up in our
That's
faces.
Right. Well, it is funny that this guy is like doing the Cliff Notes version. He's wandering over to the athletic program as the president of the university, and in 2 months, hey, can you guys download me on this whole "it's a Canes" thing you wouldn't understand? Can someone download me on 50 years? Who's Alonzo Highsmith?
Yeah, send him the
What?
Urban Dictionary entry for swagger.
Who's Gino Toretta? Who are what? I should watch the 30 for 30 by Billy Corbin on the U? Like what? He needs to get
That's why
downloaded?
that's why Rudy is so much more powerful here. Because if you think that Dr. Frank is actually getting a history lesson and actually cares about the Alonzo Highsmith, Gino Toretta, and the Lucchese family and all the different things going on, he wants to get this done as quickly as possible in a way that brings the most money as possible into his program.
As possible is interesting because I think there are certain things, if you are a firm believer in plan A, like I am, things have to kind of play out the way that they are. But to your point, if you're saying it's all Rudy is frustrated then by the Nunez thing because he was Team Nunez. He did like Nunez as a candidate. And his more importantly, his cronies really like Nunez as a candidate, and they are very publicly frustrated. And Rudy is the guy with all the influence in Dr. Frank's ear, as you say. So it's interesting. It's contextual. It's also not a headline. Talk to us about a baseball lockout.
No,
It's nuanced.
Let's not talk about a baseball lockout because right now Mike Ryan has said it for all to hear, and this is the actual news of what he said. We are dangerously close.
The president has power.
To the University of Miami. Well, the president does have power. That's the big piece of news here.
Take it to the bank.
But the secondary
calls the
news
shots.
that you're breaking is that with a Nunez here and a Rudy Fernandez there and a Cristobal there, man, the Cuban people are coming for the Miami jobs.
Look at that, huh?
I mean,
Look how far we've come.
Like the Cuban people are kind of running the Miami program
The
here.
Cuban people have
secretly.
been kind of running Miami point blank, period. You don't have to add the university.
Isn't the current coach Cuban?
Yeah.
But now it'll
What?
be-
Look at this.
That's
We
right.
don't need to interview a minority candidate because we're all minorities. How about
That's
that?
right. You see all these Lincoln Rileys and Brian Kelly's
Lane Kiffin is the minority candidate.
All right, David, your interesting takeaways from all the stuff that happened yesterday, money-wise. A lot of people are going to have a hard time understanding that a day before $1 billion in salaries were signed to, and then the sport locks out.
It was all part of the plan. This was one of the great Machiavellian moments of all time by the owners, where you had this frenzy of signings for the sole reason Rob Manfred was able to put in a letter to the fans. Look what we did last week. Look at all the money that the players got, and now the players are going to try to tell you that they don't get enough. Look at how great things are, but the union's going to tell you that they don't have enough power or there are not enough teams competing. Look at the tanking teams who signed the players, the Detroit Tigers, the Texas Rangers. Every team has a chance to win now with all the money they're spending. It goes right into a letter to the fans, which Rob released at 12:01. And the letter to the fans was simply started over a year ago. Everything baseball's done leading up to today was with the knowledge that today was coming. We knew there was going to be a lockout the minute Bruce Meyer was hired by the Players Union to negotiate because he was hired to fight. He was hired to not come to an agreement by December 1st, which gave baseball a huge runway of preparation, and they don't screw that up. So every move that's been made has been unbelievably calculated, and it resulted in the letter that was released last night by Rob Manfred.
Letter bothered me, David, because Rob Manfred now on that letter is taking the time to say, well, the players union is making it so that teams won't be able to be competitive. And he was on this show. He was on this show arguing the merits of tanking. He was arguing why it is the Marlins were not competitive and it was okay. So, I mean, I really do wonder, David, with both Roger Goodell and Manfred, like, I don't know how smart they actually are. Like, is it possible that commissioners can be running things and not be that smart? I'm not saying dumb, just not leader of sports type of smart, meriting their positions.
No, Rob Manfred is extremely smart, and so is Roger Goodell. But remember, they answer to 30 people. So what they are is they're circus performers, because they're juggling all the time, and they're taking the temperature of all the owners, because you have to count to 23 in baseball to make sure you have the support of 23 owners in order for you to keep your job. What I want fans to focus on today is not how greedy owners are, not how greedy players are, millionaires versus billionaires. Focus on the fact that this lockout right now is not doing anything to your 2022 baseball season. Nothing. There is not one thing that you're missing except the winter meetings, and who cares about that? The owners don't like going to the winter meetings. It's a cost center for major league teams and a total waste of time. So the fact that those were canceled on the major league level, that was planned long ago. If we are doing a local hour and the Hurricanes have a coach and a athletic director by March 1st, which I would hope they would, but if they don't, then we're going to be talking about that. But if they do, and we're talking about a lockout still happening on March 1st, then we're going to have a different type of show where Rob Manfred and Tony Clark badly misunderstood what the landscape is, but not December 1st.
Well, what do you think is going to happen there? Do you think there's the possibility of lost games, or this is just 2 months, 3 months of hard negotiating after a pandemic, after the business was hit hard? Hey, let's figure this out and we'll do it in 3 months. That this is all dancing and posturing to, preparing for those 3 months for a long time.
If it weren't for the pandemic, I would have said everything's going to be fine. We're going to start March 31st. But what we learned in 2020 is that you can play a 60-game season starting the end of July, have a full October, and the owners get their broadcast money. The players get a full year of service, which is what they want, which helps them get closer to free agency, and you crown a World Series champion at the end of the year. Baseball can't have a repeat of 94 where there's no World Series. It's not going to happen. But what baseball owners and players all realize is, you know what? Not so terrible on our bodies if we only have a 60 or an 80-game season. And they never thought that way before, but they lived it in 2020. And that means the edge of the cliff, we've got to get a deal done by this date, is a little later than what it would have been had there been no pandemic.
Oh, so that's interesting. I hadn't considered that the pandemic ends up teaching them that we can have a new business model. We can have a 70-game season. We can do that. We just did.
They just did. And it's even better than the pandemic model because we can have a 70-game season with full attendance starting from minute 1 in every ballpark.
That means that games will probably be lost, right? Like if you had to guess, are we going to get a full season next year or a distorted season next year? You would say what? Because I believe that season, weirdly for baseball, and this is the kind of thing that forces a sport to change when historically it hates change, is they were forced into a scenario where a whole lot of people who maybe aren't baseball fans but grew up in this age of stimulus were like, well, I like this a little bit more than 162 games. I like to snort 60 games instead of 162 games. Can you give me that? Are we headed to a new model with this possibly?
It's not a new model, but you're headed to a position where when there's no collective bargaining agreement, the drop dead date has gotten a little later into the summer than it otherwise would have been. So do I think that the lockout will cause missed games? That means you're asking, do I think will there be a shorter season than 162? And the answer to that is yes.
Hell yeah. I love that 70-game season. How about this? How about 2 40-game seasons? Meet me there.
Champions play each other.
Champions play each other. 2 40-game seasons. Let's get nuts.
Upside down. Make
of course, the players like this idea. Hey, how about you work half the time? Save money. Of course, they love it.
We did a split season. They did in 1981, I believe, but that was a very long time ago. Do you remember that was the split season after a work stoppage where they took the winner of the first half and the winner of the second half? The minor leagues do that every year. There's a winner of the first half and a winner of the second half.
Let's go.
I don't think baseball is going that way at all. I think that it will continue to be in the 150-plus game.
Boo.
Remember, all of the broadcast deals, well, there's one reason. All the local broadcast deals in baseball call for a minimum of 150 games available to the broadcast partner who is paying you all of those rights fees. So you can't go below 150.
Boo! Why not? The numbers were better during the pandemic, were they not? I know we were all starved for content, but all the games had stakes. Charge more money. Come on, less games.
Fewer.
No. Wow, I walked into that. I understand. It was a misuse of grammar. Sorry.
David, I was listening to a media podcast on this subject, and I was hearing about how baseball and the Players Association are going to struggle to make up for money that is either going to go flat or go down from regional sports network deals. Is there a concern about what the future of baseball is from a revenue standpoint, and how does that figure into these negotiations?
It's a bigger concern for the players because generally in baseball, the players have gotten around 50% of the revenue in payroll, and that's been pretty consistent over the years. So if the revenue goes down, whether it's through a pandemic or through smaller broadcast deals, that will certainly impact salaries. But I think it's not a matter of the broadcast fees going down. It's a matter of how those broadcasts are made available to the consumer. Right now, in the old days, which I guess is still sort of true, it's cable. So you've got cable and you get a network, the Yes Network or SNY or Fox Sports Florida, which is now Bally's Florida. But fans don't want that anymore. Not only are they cutting the cords, but they want streaming. They want it on their device and they want it wherever they are, whenever they want it. But live sports is always going to win the day. So I don't think the value of the broadcast deal will be decreasing anytime soon. And that's proven by what the national broadcast deal was that was just signed in baseball. That was an all-time high. But the way the games are presented to fans is going to change. And that's what baseball is fighting about. They don't want Sinclair or the Yes Network or any of these other teams to control their streaming rights through their broadcast partner. They want to control the streaming rights themselves. Early on in my career, we gave the streaming rights over to Fox Sports Florida. Right now, Jeter gave the streaming rights to Bally's Florida. What Rob Manfred wants is for teams to all have their own rights to stream. That's where the money's going to be.
Direct to consumer? Is that coming soon, do you think, in baseball?
It's a la carte, right? It used to be I didn't want anyone to be able to get Yankee games in South Florida because then people would choose to get Yankee games and not Marlins games. So Fox Sports Florida would say, you cannot have the Yankees broadcast in our market because if you do, we're not going to pay you as much for the right to show Marlins games. Because if someone has a chance to spend $6 to get Fox Sports Florida for the Marlins, or $6 to get the Yes Network to watch the Yankees every day, here in South Florida, they're going to choose the Yankees. Not allowed. But going forward, the consumers have won the day. And I believe going forward, consumers will have the right to choose which teams they want to watch on their package and pay just for those teams.
Whittingham, this is such a fascinating conversation because you're asking him basically, hey, what's all this going to look like in 5-10 years? Because the NFL Network could have, if it wanted to, said, we're not going to do ESPN. We're going to do all our own stuff, and we're going to do it with Amazon. We're not going to sell our intellectual rights. You're seeing this throughout creativity right now. A bunch of enterprises, including us, are realizing, wait a minute, if we own our own shit, what do we need you for?
Well, our colleague John Skipper has talked about the pay TV business and how it's still about $100 billion industry. And so there are still companies that want to double dip, that want to take money from streamers while also being on cable because there's still a ton of money to be made from cable. But at some point, the ripcord has to be pulled. And if it's baseball, I don't know who it is, and they go straight direct to consumer. There is no cable package. But what is that price point? What is the amount of money that clubs are going to make that worthwhile? And David, I'd ask you that question.
When ESPN, here's what I would look for. When ESPN has its Sunday night game and or Monday night game, and it's only available on ESPN Plus, that's when things are going to get serious. That's when you'll know the inflection point happened. When they've got the guts to pull it off ESPN cable channel and put it just on the streaming service. Take a look at what Amazon's going to do here with the Thursday night products going forward, and see how quickly that infiltrates into the rest of the packages.
They're still lagging behind, though. I think they need a visionary to anticipate things like Web3. I don't know how familiar you are with the concept of Web3 and a decentralized internet that relies on blockchain, but I really think that we're not going to have traditional media partnerships 10 years from now. I think by the time Dan and Stugotz are nearing the end of their careers, you might be in a beta test of what is called Web3, where basically people are stood up by their own merit and they have their own subscription bases and the people speak.
Samson, it is changing so much, this climate, that I feel like everyone is sort of tilting their head in this sphere the way that we did when we were looking at ESPN and then wondering to themselves, well, what do we need you for? You know what I mean? Like, what does the NFL need ESPN? Couldn't the NFL, when it started the NFL network at that time, if it had seen this coming, couldn't it have done even better and bigger business than it's already done? Because now Amazon and Apple and the people with all the money are getting in the game, and Disney, has been trying to buy these NFL games for a long time.
They just don't have the infrastructure yet. And by the way, ESPN said the same thing back to you, which is why you're not there anymore. They said, what do we need him for at that price point?
Exactly.
And that's how a divorce happens, when both sides realize, wow, I'm not being used the way I should be used or being paid the way I could be paid because I am the creator of the content. And your boss, the network, is saying, I cannot justify paying you the number that you are getting paid in salary because I'm not seeing a return on my investment. And I need that return in order for my stock price to continue to increase so I don't lose my job by the board of trustees or the Lucchese family or whoever is the power broker in Miami.
Here's where you got it wrong, though, because we were, while at ESPN, viewed as expensive but not too expensive because we were making money, but not enough money to offset the headaches caused, when we are changed in a Disney console. But no, we were making money, but it's got to be such a substantive amount of money because you don't want politics near your stuff. And so,
well, you're different in that way, right? Because you have a different calculus on your brand. Because the money that you made for ESPN, they decided the juice was not worth the squeeze, that they didn't want to have to sit on the red button all day listening to you because, frankly, they don't want to listen to you at all. And they don't want to get a memo or a call every single day saying, did you hear what he said this time, right? If you were making a huge fortune of dollars, then you would have had the power. You still would have left because you still would have felt that they were cramping your style. But if you were making them more money than you were, then they would tend to be able to ignore more and ignore some of your political leanings and ignore some of your rants and raves, but it just wasn't enough. Which is great for you, by the way.
Well, it did end up being great. Well, it ended up being great for us because we walked out the door and you saw it. Like, you're saying too expensive, and I'm like, well, DraftKings didn't think so. Like, they didn't think it was too expensive. Like, they just gave the idea of us and the idea of that kind of independence. They just gave us real freedom by saying, "No, we'll just sell your shit. We'll do it for you." And
but it's what you do with that, though, Dan. Right? You got the 3-year runway with them, and you got the initial investment. But now you've got to keep creating the content and keep delivering the content and keep doing the things you do because DraftKings is not ESPN. But DraftKings wants to have that sort of clout. And when they do have that sort of clout, people tend to be more conservative the richer they are. The upstart companies, the upstart people tend to take more chances. But once you have all the money, it's funny when you look at people who are charitable or you look at people who gamble, the more money you have, often the less percentage of your net worth you're willing to gamble.
I want you, David, at some point here to get you and John Skipper together to talk about the mechanics of what the future of the business is going to look like from this realm, because I want sports fans to understand how they're going to be consuming this differently in 10 years, because things are changing. David, have you seen in business this? I don't know if it's the pandemic or what, or just technology, but the swiftness of change of businesses shaking because so many people are realizing with time to think during a pandemic, wait a minute, we've been doing this wrong. We've been doing this inefficiently.
The number one change has been the way people are getting products sent to them instead of going to stores. I did not think it would happen as quickly as the pandemic made it happen. What the pandemic tended to do was to accelerate the downfall of certain businesses and accelerate the boon that came to other types of businesses. If you were late to developing your website, or you are late to being able, remember you complained about ESPN because people were trying to buy your like LeBatard shirts, like merchandise, and they couldn't quite figure out how to get it done, how to get it sent to people, and there were production delays. Am I making that up, or did that happen?
No, yeah, that was yes, one of the frustrations there was the idea that we were unable somehow. I mean, Disney pretty good at selling things. We were unable somehow to sell T-shirts for many, many, many months. Sell T-shirts.
Right. They could not fulfill something that you have to be able to do. Why is Amazon so powerful? Because it works. The system works. You go on a website, you make 2 clicks, and there's a package at your door. That type of way is how sports content, that's what people want. They don't want to search through 75 cable channels anymore. They want to be able to turn on a TV, click a button, and have a thumbnail of the game they want to watch. You click that thumbnail, and the game just appears.
Sell T-shirts. They couldn't lock up a web handle.
I've got to tell you guys a funny story. Right before the Moss 50th birthday, have I not told you this story? Because I was so mad because it was Christmas time and we still hadn't figured out how to sell T-shirts. And it had been, Mike, I don't know, 10 months after, like 10 months with the inability to sell a T-shirt. My agent looked to me after a meeting when somebody just left dinner and looked at me and said, Dan, that is the single worst meeting I've ever been around that didn't involve Bobby Valentine.
And he was right.
Yeah.
What
are you reviewing? Although I would love to end the podcast on that, we have to adhere to the format. David, what is your weekly review?
Well, the way you say it makes me so excited. I think the listeners are so happy right now that you really sold into this.
It's a benchmark.
Well, before you do it, though, is there anything else on the lockout we need to know? Because, again, I think you have an unusually thorough and knowledgeable corner here in this realm. Anything else we need to know that I have been mistaken in not asking you?
No, you just have to know to go to Nothing Personal with David Samson, and I'm going to do an entire thing today about the lockout that'll go into far more detail. But I unfortunately will not in my show be talking about the hurricane situation. So you can get hurricanes here and you can get lockout there, and then together we're going to do a movie review right now.
Well, feel free to invite me on Nothing Personal with David Samson if you want the latest news and developments on the UM front. Or we can do a Twitter Spaces, perhaps, and people can follow you at David P. Samson on Twitter.
See you later.
What's your review?
14 Peaks. I watched it yesterday. Have you seen it on Netflix yet?
I have not.
Have you heard of it? It's the guy.
There's
one guy from Nepal who's a mountaineer, decided that he was going to high altitude climb all 14 mountains in the world that are over 8,000 meters, and he did it all within 7 months. Previously, there's a guy who did it, and it took him 16 years to do it. He did it alpine style, not using oxygen, which is insane. But this guy was climbing Everest, and then K2, and then M1, and G2, and G3, and GU, whatever the names are. And this documentary, it was like free solo on steroids. The story was fascinating about what would drive someone to be so insane and how dangerous it is. And the highlight was he was on Everest. He took the picture that went viral when there was that line to climb Mount Everest that was at a standstill that looked like traffic on 95 during rush hour. climbing Mount Everest. Do you remember that photo at all, Mike?
I do. Even though I'm not that familiar with 14 Peaks, I am familiar with Twin Peaks. And how do you serve a beer that's 29 degrees cold? How is it not a block of ice? Have you ever been? Great Motzies.
Good. David Lynch, we're good. Done?
No, not that Twin Peaks. You haven't been to the restaurant chain Twin Peaks?
Never even heard of that restaurant.
Oh, man,
Twin Peaks.
dude. The
Knockoff Hooters.
It is a knockoff Hooters, but they got
Overrated.
Whoa. Have you had the Motzies? Oh, you're not a Motzi guy. I forget. But the 29-degree beer on a hot South Florida day, that is incredible.
Wait a
Spoiler
minute,
alert.
is Twin Peaks. Hold on.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
so
it's exactly
sorry.
The,
like
That's
the
what
Twin
Twin
Peaks are
Peaks is.
boobs.
just like the
Spoiler alert.
just like the Hooters were boobs.
Most beers are that cold, I believe. You just don't always see the temperature up above the bar.
no.
It's a great bit of marketing, though.
Coldest beer.
It's fantastic.
Coldest beer.
How old were you when you figured it out, Witty?
Today, 5 minutes ago.
Witty, I'm with you. I did not know that Twin Peaks were boobs.
Oh, what? Oh, you're an innocent.
Never saw the show.
Sweet summer child.
Wait, but the show
The
doesn't.
show
The
has
show
nothing
is
to
not
do with
that.
it. It's just,
No, the show is not about boobs. No.
No, mountains in that
I
show.
have never heard the phrase Twin Peaks that wasn't involved with the show, is what I'm telling you. I've just heard of Twin Peaks, and I did not know
You've
that.
never been to the restaurant. You can't have anything on the menu. Don't worry about it.
And
But
what's Motzi's?
Mozzie sticks, baby.
They're overrated. You agree, David? Mozzarella
You're talking
sticks.
about
sticks.
mozzarella sticks?
Yeah, mozzie.
You never order mozzarella sticks, right, David? You just-
Never,
right,
never,
exactly.
ever. It's fried string cheese.
Boom. Overrated.
You are so simple.
Especially Twin Peaks. I mean, maybe like a fine dining Italian restaurant has good mozz sticks. The mozz sticks at Twin Peaks are not.
Have you had them?
I have had them, I believe.
They're pretty tasty for Mozzies.
It's like people going to the Olive Garden for the bread.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
Ooh.
be real.
Oh, you're in New York. I had the best Mozzie stick of my life at a place called Parm there. All right, hit that up, David.
Parm.
Samson.
David, have you been to Parm? It's a chain in New York.
It's freaking.
I have not
great.
been to Parm.
Yo, those
I've been to
Mozzie sticks are
Parma,
serious.
which is an Italian restaurant on the Upper East Side, but I've not been to Parm.
Thank you for your time, David.
See you later. I'm going to Twin Peaks right now.
Chag Sameach.
Ah, merci beaucoup. Happy Hanukkah.
I hate it when somebody does a better show than we do, more innovative, stronger. I fancy us, like we operate in a niche space in the sports universe where we are popular, but we're not doing it exactly the way everyone else does. And it's easier to arrive at
Well, not
popular-
everybody else can be number one, Dan.
Okay, that's nice, yes. And I'm making us sound like a lovable underdog.
I kid, but
You
you're
really are, right?
Yeah, I know we're niche, I guess, but we're also fairly regularly the number one sports podcast in America.
But you want to be more like Chris Russo. He's doing it correctly.
Well,
I mean,
there are a lot of people in this business doing it, I believe, better than we're doing
Oh,
it.
100%. But we have the best fans in the world.
But we are very popular. The popular things are not always the best things. Very often, the best
Sometimes.
things are
Not in this case, but sometimes.
And so I was furious this morning when I got up and on WATTKMK, we are trying to kill Max Kellerman this morning. They had the poll question, how much of a must win is tonight for the Cowboys?
oh, wow.
And your choices, this is where they make it difficult.
There are choices?
There are choices, right.
Wow.
It's not just you. This is not, fill in the blank. You've got 3 choices, too. It's not 2 choices and it's not 100 choices. You have only 3 choices, and you have to pick from among these 3.
Okay.
Well, what do you guys think? Hold on a second before I get to the 3 choices.
This is crazy because we need to tackle this, but
Degrees of must win.
I kind of think this is more of a must-win for the Saints, but we're not ready to have that conversation.
We're not ready.
The framing of the question is wrong. It's a must-win for the Saints.
We're not ready to have that
Please,
conversation.
That's a different show. Let someone else do it. We're not qualified.
Yeah. The Cowboys in itself is a monumental task.
Yeah.
The Saints are not the team that people talk about, okay?
No.
The Cowboys are
Okay.
the team that people talk about.
Taysom
And
Hill
then-
at quarterback does nothing for you?
Listen,
No.
You need to stop talking. I'm sorry. I apologize for even broaching the subject. Back to the Cowboys.
you know what? you're a maximum professional and you are standard that all young people in this industry should follow Whittingham, but you're going to have to walk to the ocean right now.
Attaboy.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
And by the ocean, the Pacific Ocean.
The choices are, what should the choices be because they've done this masterfully, but what should the choices be if I say
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, I need to hear it again.
All right.
Mm.
How much of a must win is tonight for the Cowboys?
And how many answers did they list?
Three answers. And
Wow.
how many should there be? Because I think there should be 100, right? I think there should be 100 choices there, but they're more efficient.
I feel like there should only be two. It's a must win or it's not a must
but
win.
they're
But these
asking-
are levels.
No,
of,
I think the question kind of suggests that we all accept that this is a must win. Now the real question is here: how much of a must win?
See that you
No, I would say not at all is probably one of the choices.
We don't
not
accept
at all.
It
that.
should be not at all because they play in the NFC East, right?
Well, that is one of the choices.
Okay.
One of the
Not at
choices
all.
All right,
is
so-
zero,
Okay.
not at all.
All
Right.
We've identified that.
Yes, that's
How
the
do they
only
have
thing.
three though? it's
not
pretty
the-
much
yeah.
not
Yes.
at all or yeah,
well,
possibly.
This
Okay,
is,
cool.
This is why I say, like,
Not
I
at
don't
all.
think we're qualified, and it's like, it's as if they were to tell us today, you know what, guys, can you do today's show in Mandarin? And I'd be like, okay, that's going to be tough. That's going to be hard. Choice number 2 is 50.
Just
50?
50.
50.
No percentage, just
50. There's not a percentage on it. It's just the number 50. It's actually not a percentage.
Now,
Not at all and 50.
Is it 50 or is it 50? This is an important question.
What do you think?
Look, 50 sounds like a very likely. I mean, Keyshawn's on the show, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Jay Williams is on the show as well.
Nah, that would be 50.
To America's, by the way.
Should I walk to the ocean?
I don't think
If
so.
you
No,
leave right now,
no,
you can catch
actually.
up to Witty though.
I don't think you should.
Did
It'd
nothing
be funny.
wrong.
It'd be funny just see him catching up to Witty visually.
I mean, Witty is he's walking at a fast pace right now.
He
to the
seems
ocean.
happy to be going to the ocean.
It looks
He's
so nice
thrilled.
out.
It
Good
is.
for
It's
him.
gorgeous.
Nice
Look at him
out.
with a
It
big
re-
smile.
It really
I
is,
mean,
it
he's
really
adorable.
It really is nice out.
And Witty doesn't know how to like do the sad walk. Everything he does has enthusiasm
chipper.
and a can-do attitude.
Just happy.
You are so right.
Happy person.
You can't punish him because he is chipper.
He's greeting the day.
Look at him. Jesus.
He is seizing the day.
He loves life.
He's
I mean.
the way that a human being would walk through a forest of cartoon animals. His daily attitude.
He's going to find the positive in every experience, right? I got this right? There's nobody on earth who's going to find the positive in every single experience like Witty. You could send him to hell and he'd be like, you know what? I like the warmth.
I've always wanted to have tea with Art Briles.
Hey, Arts.
I bet he's even happy when he wakes up 5 minutes before his alarm goes off.
We'll ask him when he gets back, but he deserves this punishment that he is not treating as a punishment as he walks to the ocean. But are you guys ready for the third choice? Because
I just want to make sure we're clear on the first two. Not at all and 50.
yes.
Not 50.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know.
Just
All right.
on the Witty front, there are times that he doesn't see the positives in everything. As someone that's gone out with Witty before, you have never encountered, all right, guys, I'm going to go, Witty, which is one of my favorite Witties. And it's usually when he's hanging around my shithead
Like
friends.
4 a.m.
All right, guys, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. No, I won't be hopping in that guy's car.
I've seen it enough.
I'm going to go.
Has
You guys
Witty,
have fun.
has Witty ever Irish goodbyed? Let's figure this out before he gets back.
No,
don't
he's
think
always
so.
polite enough
I
to
don't
say,
think
all
he'd
right,
be
guys,
that
I'm going to
rude.
go.
He doesn't care. He does not care what you think of him. He doesn't care. Hey, he's going home early. You're making fun of him. He doesn't care.
No, but I'm with
No,
no.
he
But
announces his.
I would
Yes.
say he does care. I would say he does
Again,
care
I've met. All right, guys, I'm going to go with it.
about not being rude. About not being rude, though. About not being rude. You're asking us, will he just disappear without saying goodbye? And I don't think Witty would ever do that.
I picture him getting mugged and apologizing for not having like
for
not
Yeah.
having
I
more
only have
money.
38
in his
bucks
pocket.
on me right now.
That's true. Because that is somehow less intolerable than some of the nights he's found himself in with me.
Are you guys ready for the third choice? Because I don't believe you are. The question is, how much of a must-win is tonight for the Cowboys? Your choices so far are 0. I don't know whether it's 50. It's one of them.
Okay.
And then, but it's not, again, I will tell you, these are not percentages. It's just the number 0, the number 50. And then I'm going to tell you that parenthetically is the number 100. The number 100 is in parentheses, but that's not what's featured in the poll question. 100 is parenthetical. It's off to the side.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know what it says next to the 100 in bold? To get your attention, this is one of the voting options on how much of a must-win is tonight for the Cowboys. To the max.
Oh, okay.
Wow. That is well
100 to the
done.
max.
Right.
To the max.
That is
They're-
good.
they
I
are
get it. That's
making-
actually pretty good marketing.
They're
Max.
making tonight a possible to the max game.
Wow.
Or 0. But to the max.
Or 50.
Or it might be
Or just 50.
or, I don't know. I want to go 45, but they've made it hard.
But you
This is-
can't.
You
And-
can't. That's right. I know. That's right. You want to go 8%?
Before we decide our answer, can we take the data into the equation? Can you vote on one just to see what people are saying?
Well, okay. That seems like a good idea.
That would help me make my decision to see what the masses are saying.
But we've got more breaking football news right now. Like we
Really?
can do that.
Bigger than that?
I think it is. I think it's bigger than that.
Impossible.
I
mean, to the max is an option.
Well, wait.
Yeah.
To the max, there's nothing beyond the max.
I know we're talking about this, but I don't want Witty to skate here. I want him going all the way into the
Yeah,
ocean.
go all the
I've
way
been
in.
on the other side of this, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's all fun," and he's just dipping a toe in there. Let's go. Get a shirt off. Get in there. Get in that ocean. That's
Whoa.
right. I don't care how cold it is
yeah, but
outside.
you actually never actually.
I'm
get
wearing
there.
jeans.
So,
I've worn jeans.
I've worn jean shorts into the ocean.
And I have gone all the way in. The last few times, the pressure has grown. At the first year of this, it was real casual. It was just like theater of the mind. Lately, it's been, once we left ESPN, it's like, get your ass in that ocean or you're fired.
Yeah.
You hear him, Witty? Dan just said it. Get in there or you're fired.
Now,
I'm knee deep. Is
Let me
that not
see.
enough?
Let's
Show
see your
me.
knees.
That looks like ankle
no,
deep.
no,
That's
no,
like
no,
ankle
those
deep.
jeans are wet.
No.
He's got wet
What are you,
jeans.
on a photo shoot? What is this, a photo shoot?
Before-
This is stunning. The beach is beautiful.
We actually
It's
never
cold
did.
out,
It's
though. I mean,
December here. And
Yeah.
Stugotz is saying-
Unbelievable.
Stugotz is saying it's cold.
I mean, for a dip in the ocean, it is
Beautiful. It's so picturesque. There are birds
Look
literally
how
flying
pretty
in
this
background.
shot is. The sun's rising.
It is.
It was a
Picturesque.
It was an old gritted death item that we actually never did. Someone picked it and never actually went through with it. But wet jeans was on there once, where they had to sit in the studio in wet jeans.
Well,
the
are you
entire
guys
time.
okay? How about this? How about you make Witty a trade? Because we're still forming our bucket of death, grid of death thing. We're still putting together all the punishments. This is Deathcember. Roy's got to do something today that doesn't have a payoff for this audience right now, which is someone gets to use his Twitter account. He's got to pick that today. But what if Witty were to fulfill one of his 12 punishments by now agreeing that he will do wet jeans? He will do a show in wet jeans and will indeed go into the ocean. And are we willing?
God,
to,
it sounds awful.
are
It's
we
probably
willing
worse
as
than
a
the
group-
Yeah, I'm
punishments
on it.
he's
That
agreed
sounds
to.
worse than anything.
Sounds bad for us in here, too. It'll just smell like ocean water.
But
in
also,
here.
we get 2 payoffs. We get to see him actually go fully into the ocean, which is something that
Yep.
we've wanted. And then that's a pretty bad punishment but like you said, all of us.
But are you guys willing, though,
But his
to
hair.
offer him? You don't have to take it, Witty. Yes, his hair, his beloved hair. How about the group is okay with offering the option if we will take one of the 7 or 8 punishments that you have away in exchange for you choosing wet jeans?
I will omit myself from this vote.
I'll agree to it.
I say yes.
Just because I know Witty really doesn't want to do it, so I want to apply some pressure.
He could take any punishment away. He could choose.
Wait,
any
don't we need the
punishment.
commissioner to do this?
That's why I omitted myself, because I'm not.
We need
I'm
an
not
assistant
comfortable.
commissioner.
Call Billy.
All right, Bob. Get Bob in here.
Go to Bob.
Bob, Assistant Commissioner Bob. Okay, Bob, that's fine. He was already here. He was listening to Roy's headset. He is now on the show. Bob, come on in here and make a ruling here. Bob.
Whoa! Wow! No
nonsense, Bob.
Go in. All right.
He said go in.
All right. So he has chosen go in.
Bobby.
Witty, do you want to accept it or do you say, nah, never mind. I'm not doing the show that way. I'll keep all my other punishments.
I'll do it for 2 punishments to be cleared off my record, to be expunged.
No deal.
No deal.
Oh my God.
No, we're negotiating here. Come on.
Come on.
You were sent to the ocean regardless. You have to go in. Dan's trying to help you out.
Do we need to call Billy and ask
I'm
him?
presently in the ocean.
Yeah, but your
The
head's
bottom of
not.
my jeans are wet.
Mm-hmm.
Whittingham, that's excellent negotiation by you, by the way. I am proud of you, what you just did there.
No,
because-
it's not. It's
Well,
terrible.
He doesn't want to do this. No, it's not good for the show what he's done. Witty is generally willing to do what's good for the show. He really doesn't want to do this. So he's asking for 2 punishments.
Right.
I'm mainly doing this because I have to go to the Panthers game tonight, and these are the only pants I have on me.
Oh, now we
So-
have to make him do it.
So the idea of going to the Panthers game in swim trunks that I bought at one of these storefronts on South Beach is kind of ridiculous.
All right, I got it. For 2 punishments, you have to go and get the jeans wet, but you have to do some sort of musical song while you're doing it.
No.
I've got a better option for you. What if for 2 punishments, I would say to you that somebody in this studio, will go get his dimensions and we get to choose what pants, dry pants, he wears to the Panthers game
Deal.
tonight.
We're back.
That locally here somewhere, we just run into a store and we grab pants that are his size and we choose the pants that he has to wear. Would you be willing to do those terms, Whittingham?
Yes. However, logistically, well, first off, there appear to be pelicans that are flying looking for prey around me. I'm going to turn my camera so you can see. I think a pelican is going to attack me while I'm doing it.
This would be good. This would be wonderful. Not great.
Wonderful.
You could fuck up a pelican.
Put it on the
Your
poll.
hair would fuck up its beak.
Exactly.
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Would Witty fuck up a pelican? Yes. Yes. or
Great
no?
point by
But
Smetty. Just let it crash into your hair.
Are you guys good with where we are in the negotiations? And again, we've got big breaking NFL news, so I have to get to that. Witty, okay, everyone is good with that. We don't have to call Billy or anything. Witty, those are the terms right now. We will remove 2 punishments if you go in right now.
Billy's going to change
where
this.
does he
Waist
have to
deep.
go?
Waist deep.
You have to go to your waist.
No, I'm going all the way in.
Yeah.
I'm going all the way in.
Yeah, Witty.
Now,
Do it, Witty.
There you go.
one
Always
more
over
thing.
and beyond.
How are we going to record this? So I guess I would do waist deep if I have to hold the phone.
All right, no,
but if I have to
we'll wait for you and see if we send Lewis out there or someone else to do some.
Okay.
good
Lewis is super
cinematography.
excited to head out there.
iPhones are waterproof for what it's worth.
Lewis should go in too, right?
I
Get a
mean,
quick
proof for
thing.
resistance.
Nothing bad can happen out there, Lewis.
Lewis is going.
Lewis doesn't want to do it. We got to send someone. Bob,
Get out there, Rook.
Bob. Who wants to get out there? But the second part of this equation, though, is also who gets to buy the pants for Witty. Who's going to choose the pants around here?
Tony.
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay, Tony's going to choose the pants. You good with those terms?
All right, I'll go waist deep, and Lewis can spare the trip, and then I'll just take the stuff out of my pockets. I hope it doesn't get stolen.
Lewis is willing to go.
Okay, well, let's get somebody out there for you, Witty. I've got this big breaking news to get to anyway, so we'll come back to
We're
you
sending
in a
Lewis
second.
out.
And
No, Lewis, stay. I'm going waist deep. I'll hold the phone and I'll go waist deep.
okay, but I just think that you shouldn't leave your things on the shore. There's a whole business.
Oh, he's fine. It's Miami Beach. It's very safe.
Behind Live, there's a whole at 4 a.m. The people who end up
They're
out
just
there
rolling out,
skinny dipping and just leave their stuff on the shore. Like
This is not then, though.
okay.
He's not you. He doesn't have $7,000 and hundreds in his wallet, Dan.
And gold coins.
It's
And just diamonds, like loose diamonds.
Doubloons.
it's Krugerrands.
I'm going in.
Here he is.
All right.
Here he
Waist
goes,
deep.
ladies and gentlemen.
happy, it's so annoying.
He is still happy, but he's less happy than he was.
Oh,
He is-
God.
Yes. he's-
Show us the mid. Like, let us
Is
see.
it cold?
It is cold.
Ooh,
it's
pretty.
It's cold.
All right.
Trying to keep his shirt warm. I know that game. I know
The
that
level's
game.
low today. To really get waist deep, I got to go out.
Okay. Well, then you got to go out. This is the.
Or you could sit
punishment.
crisscross applesauce.
Chris. All right, I'm going.
You-
Oh, Jesus, it is cold. Wow.
We got some shrinkage going on.
All right, I'm in.
All right.
I'm on my knees.
You
We good?
Yes, you're good. Now you just need to answer Jessica's question of, has there been some shrinkage?
Confirmed.
Okay, very good.
Him
Excellent.
using just the cold adjective was like was surprising to me. I had him going like a word like 4 layers deep in cold. This is very
Frigid?
Yeah, frigid. There
frigid,
you go.
yeah.
Hypothermia, something with that.
Something like that, yeah.
I've got breaking news.
Billy's so going to reverse this.
I can't wait to see these pants.
It really is a must-win game for the Saints, though.
I voted on the poll.
Stugotz, this is very exciting because this man has been a menace from Miami for many, many years, Stugotz. Not just a hard running back at Miami who then was a hard running back in the pros, but now I hear he is training for fighting. I heard this a few months ago. I'm like, why would anyone want to fight this person? I do not. Frank Gore will eat my face, and I don't want to fight this person under any circumstances. And he was training for boxing. I don't know if it was, it was before this, before there was an opponent. Why would Darren Williams take this on? Frank Gore is with us now, and I know the group is excited because he
It's a Hall of Famer. Frank Gore. Yeah, Hall of Famer.
Oh, baby. Put him up. Stand up.
That's right. That's right.
Jab, baby.
That's right. The Hall of Famer, Frank Gore, is with us. Thank you for joining us, Frank.
Thanks for having me this morning.
You are a Miami kid. I want you to tell the people before we get to the stuff that is the pros and everything else. I want you to tell the people about what your Miami experience was because that backfield was crazy, Frank. Like how
what? Like what?
Well, you got all those pros back there, Frank. Like it was you were competing.
How was it that crazy?
That's why we're so good, man. I think. And me being around them guys, man, that's why I was the person in the NFL, man. Just being around talent, knowing that you got to come to work every day, and that helped me for the NFL. So we need to get back to that before we can start back being dominated college again.
Can you explain to us what the competition was like between McGahee and Portis and you and who am I missing there? I'm missing
Najee Davenport.
You got Najee, you got Peyton, you got Cardin Hill. Man, we were very talented, but it was fun, man. But it helped all us, when we got to the next level because for me, I felt like I didn't care when I got drafted to San Fran. I didn't care who they had in the running back room. Because I'm behind Portis, I'm behind Willis, and when they got there, they was dominating. So I was like, man, if they can do it, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to San Fran, I didn't start my first year, but my second year I started, and I went crazy, and I just kept going. I've been blessed to keep going. But with them boys, man, being around Portis, McGahee, Najee, Peyton, Cardin Hill, man, helped me a whole lot at the next level.
Can you tell us what kind of hazing or what kind of arrogance or what kind of sparks there were because Willis McGahee and Clinton Portis didn't want Frank Gore taking their job?
No, it wasn't none of that, though. It was because me and Portis was like roommates the night before games, and Portis would be like that night, be like, hey, I'm about to ball out, the first half. And hey, I'm gonna let you, handle this. I'm gonna let you handle your business the second half. It wasn't never like no hate or nothing like that. We all respect each other. We all respect each other's game. But we just had to kind of practice every day. So Coach Sarger, he didn't play the radio. If he felt like he wasn't doing it during the week, he wasn't gonna play that week on that Saturday. So everybody had to be right at the time, man.
I love that confidence that Clinton Portis the night before games. This is how good the University of Miami was when Frank Gore was playing there. Hey, I'll take care of the first half. I'll put up a ton of stats. And Frank, you come in the second half and you do the same.
Yeah. Then he'll be like, you ain't gonna go out there and ball. I'm gonna come back in the game. So I had to go out there and do my thing.
I know that the guys who leave the University of Miami have nostalgic feelings, loving feelings. Many of them say they like it better than their memories are better than that of the pros. Is that true for you or not true? There was somewhere in the pros where you felt 1 year or 2 years better than you did at your best Miami year?
I won't say because, like in college and the NFL, it's different because I think on college level you way more closer to guys in the NFL because when you're in the NFL you got people that got wives and you just don't in college you get to go out with each other because we all still kind of kids, you know what I'm saying? Then the next level you got people got to be with their family, their wives and stuff, so you don't get that bond like how it is in college. But I was lucky enough to go to a team, like a young team that really, it was basically the same. So when I went to San Fran, it was kind of like the same like college, like, because we was like all around the same age at the time. So I think I had a great time both, man.
Frank, how many kinds of offers I've been reading that before taking up the boxing thing that you still had the ability to play this year, that you could have played football this year. I didn't know how you were going to quit or if you were ever going to quit. Were you close to returning?
Yeah. I had like 3 offers, man. And, I had 3 offers and, at the time when I got one call, it was like a week right after training camp, back got hurt, and a team called who wanted me to go out there and sign with them. But at the time, I've been, I got my oldest son, I got my stepson there in college. My stepson, me and my family was planning on taking a visit to go see him play his first college game. They called, my girl kind of got upset because she was looking forward to us going up there as a family. I told the team I couldn't do it like that time, like they wanted me to come up. And so they tried to call me again that Monday. I got back home. And I was comfortable being with my kids, man, and saw that how much I missed, like, my, my kids. So I was back and forth. Should I do it? Should I not? And I never felt that way in football. So in football, because I loved it so much. So when I heard like it's time to go play, I'm gonna jump up and go. And at that time, I just wanted the feeling at the time. So I just said I'm gonna just chill. I told the team I didn't want to do it. I'll just wait to see that if it come back again. If I want to play, I'll play. But at the time, I didn't. I just wasn't feeling it. So, but I'm in a good place. And I've been enjoying my kids, especially my 2 older boys in college. And I've been enjoying the family life.
That's interesting, Frank, because I know at the University of Miami you've learned so much and the pros have given you so much experience. I remember how close your relationship was with your mother. It's interesting to hear you work through it in your head, the idea of like, oh, am I retired? I could still play. If you want me to play, I could still play. But I believe in family, and I wonder how much you think of your own mother and caring for her, Frank, as you're watching your teenage kids and saying, you know what, I've done this a long time and I've done it well. I want to go enjoy. Yep. I want to go enjoy some of the stuff that maybe me and my mom didn't get to enjoy because I lost her too early.
Yeah, that's part of it too, man. And that was the best thing I think could have happened. That I didn't sign with a team and before training camp, because it helped me realize how much I did miss. And I'm been all my boys, they play ball. They play football pretty well. And I've been like, when I didn't go to training camp, so I've been, taking my son to Part 1 of the practice every day. So I'm out there helping the young kids. My youngest son, 5 years old, I'm coaching his flag. So I was getting excited Friday nights, like I'm getting ready for the game the next morning, just to be out there to see my kids do it, man. And when I got the call, I just wasn't ready. I just wasn't, at the time, I just wasn't ready to go.
Can you take us?
And I was. Say it again?
No, forgive me. I just want you to take us through your conversation with your wife. Like, Frank, your ass is staying home. Like, stay home. Let's enjoy the kids for a little while.
No, it wasn't. It was just, she know how much I love the game. And she was looking forward to, go see my stepson. First college game. He had a great, he had a great camp. The coach was talking very well about him. and we that was his first time. We didn't think he was gonna play, and she was excited about it. And then when they called, and they called me to come up that Friday, and we were leaving that Friday to go over to Wisconsin. She was kind of that Thursday night. She was kind of sad, and I was like, man, like, I had to tell the team, like, hey, I can't come up right now because, like you said, I played 16 years, man. I've been blessed. Everybody was saying I won't play 3 years, man. I'm third in the all-time rushing. The only thing, I was wishing that I would have got was a Super Bowl, but, a lot of people can't get that. And when I saw her sad, I was like, you know what? I'm for the go with my family in Wisconsin. And then they told me Monday, the team called back, was like, all right, Monday you come up here. And I just didn't want to do it, man, because I was just having a good time with the kids and stuff, man.
5-time NFL Pro Bowler Frank Gore with us here. He will take on 3-time NBA All-Star Darren Williams in a professional heavyweight boxing match in the undercard of Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury live on Showtime pay-per-view on Saturday, December 18th. We will talk about that in just a second. Frank, if the right team called you right now, would you entertain them?
We'll see. Right now I'm focusing on this boxing right now because I've been enjoying it. And I've been working my behind off. But if a team called me, the week before the Super Bowl, I'm definitely going.
Well, I think you might.
That would be the right team, I guess.
Think you might. Yes, that would be the right team. Frank is available on either sideline. I'll run against either of you, no problem. But I think I heard you slip up there, Frank. Did you say your family in Wisconsin? Was it because are you avoiding?
I said we were taking the trip to go see my stepson go play. It was his first year in Wisconsin, so we were gonna take a trip up there, that Friday, and the team called me that Thursday to come, because they're running their backs, got hurt for the season, and I said my girl was mad because she was looking forward for us to go after, because we, I haven't been able to do that, like to go see our kids play, because I've been playing. And she kind of, got upset because we had everything, situated about the flights, our hotels and everything, and we were packing. Then the team called her Thursday, and she was kind of sad, that she thought I was going to go. And I kind of sensed that, how much I've been gone because, I've been playing ball. I feel like, I got to give my family some time too. But that's one of the reasons I didn't go. When the team called that time.
So Frank, understand everyone on this show loves you, appreciates you, can't wait for you to get to the Hall of Fame. We also feel like that you could average 3 yards per carry in the NFL until you were the age of 50. Like, do you agree?
No, more than 50.
Maybe 60, perhaps 60.
No, I've got him. No.
3 yards a carry, Dan.
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Would Frank Gore average 3 yards a carry in his 70s? Yes or no? Frank, would you? Frank, would you? Yes or no?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Frank, Darren Williams, I am told, is he's a bad man, and he's got some size on you.
Yeah, that's cool, though. We'll see. I just got to see, I see the first round, how you come out, and we'll go from there. But I'm going to be real, like, my first time meeting him at a press conference, he's a great dude. I respect him because, like I say, man, whoever decided to get in the ring, man, you got to have some type of toughness. And, I'm not looking at him as a basketball player because he's been around MMA for like 6 years. So, you could tell, like, he going to have some type of skill when he get in the ring. So, but I think it's going to be a good time. I think I'm going to have fun with it, and I'm going to enjoy it. And just let my fans know I have been working my behind off to try to get this win.
Frank, what's not tough about you? Like, give us some times where you might cry in a soft moment.
Stub your toe.
When you see a spider.
A song, yeah, maybe
ever seen a musical?
A mouse in the kitchen. Have you ever seen a musical?
I'm scared of dogs, man.
What?
I'm scared of dogs.
Like Chihuahuas or Dobermans?
I'm scared of dogs, period.
All dogs. So even like
where's that fear come from?
So wait a minute, you're telling me that if I'm I'm with Frank Gore, and I'm, he's tough because he's going to be a boxer. He's tough because he ran that way in the sport. And I've got a teacup Maltese. Frank Gore's running away.
Is he jumping on a chair?
Only way I'm gonna be okay. Only way I'm gonna be okay if it's your dog and you promise me it won't bite. But if you're not telling me nothing about the dog, I'm not getting close to it.
Did something happen bad with the dog in your childhood?
It must have, right? It must have, yes?
Yeah, I had, when I was younger, I got hit. Because the dog was chasing me by a car when I was a little kid. That's one of the reasons I don't like dogs.
How about musicals? Like, will Frank Gore, is there anything that he'll be...
Les Miserables, ever seen it?
Or a movie that made you cry.
Wondering if the car was
Cats.
okay.
I can't hear you. What you say?
A musical, something. Did you have any interest in things that might be softer? I picture you as a man's man, like you don't have time to go see a musical or something soft.
I don't like that type of stuff.
That's about how I thought that was going to go. Yeah. How about is there anybody in the family that might look over at a strange time and Frank Gore is watching a movie and he's got some tears in his eyes and he's just sort of trying to rub the corner of his eyes so nobody in the family can see that he's crying and he shouldn't be crying?
I don't know because if I'm watching a movie with the people, because I don't like crying in front of people, man.
Well, I figured that. I figured that, but sometimes you can't help it. Like there's certain, like during Ratatouille, I didn't expect it, and it snuck up on me, and it was just,
too, huh?
It just surprised me, caught me totally off guard.
No, that's not me. No, that's not me.
What about the Pixar movie Soul? Did you see that movie? Did you cry doing it?
Oh my!
I can't hear you. What you say?
The Pixar movie Soul with Jamie Foxx. Did you watch it and then you cry?
Nah, the phone breaking up. I can't really hear.
Yeah, you know what? You don't even want to do. I don't blame you.
He doesn't even think about crying.
It might be breaking up. It might not be breaking up. I don't even blame you. Frank, he doesn't have time for this ridiculousness. These questions that we're asking him are ridiculous. 5 times.
He's never cried. Let's just leave it right there.
He's going to make Darren Williams cry. That's what he's going to
do. Let's do it his way. Frank, have you thought out your ring entrance? Have you thought out your music? Have you thought out the display, the pyro, the fireworks? Is Frank Gore going to look like a badass going to the ring?
He's going to go Spartan, though. I'm guessing that Frank Gore is all about, like, just strip me down to just my body. I'm going to go
I want Frank Gore to go through some smoke, like the old days.
Come out to smoke, some smoke.
Like through the Miami days. Like
I haven't thought about it yet. I just been focusing on, like, getting better. So I want to look real good, December 18th. So I probably start thinking about it, what I'm going to come out to, probably the week of, because I've been putting all my time in, just keep learning, keep working, and try to get better.
Frank, that was a trick by us to make sure that your phone was working just fine, Frank. You didn't want to answer our questions about crying.
I hear y'all now. It was breaking up.
I don't believe you, Frank. I
think he cried during Soul.
All right, the question has been posed to you again.
And cats.
Let's try it once again. Roy, try the question once again, and because he's not about this, but maybe he has watched a movie with his child, and one time a cartoon got him.
The Pixar movie from Disney called Soul with Jamie Foxx. It's a cartoon. Did you see it and did you cry? And I know you did.
You did. What you said? What cartoon? What cartoon?
His phone doesn't work again. See, that phone doesn't work again. It's awfully convenient.
No, I know you said that I watched a cartoon with my son or my kids. Did I cry? I never did. No.
Never. Okay. All right.
You weak people. What are you crying during cartoons?
You cried during Ratatouille.
Soul was deep, man.
I couldn't believe it. I felt like such an idiot, Frank. I'm sitting there on my couch and I'm like, this is a cartoon rat of some sort. He's cooking. Why am I crying during Ratatouille? I felt embarrassed. But in many ways, Frank, you're stronger than all of us. Thank you for being on with us, sir.
Thanks for having me this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank.
Yes, sir. Where are you right now?
Well, I'm driving. I'm about to get ready and go to the gym.
I feel like Frank is always getting ready to go to the gym. Are you good at boxing? Are you have you gotten good very fast? Because we didn't ask you one of the questions.
I've been boxing, not box training for a fight, but I've been in the mitts and stuff for a long time, so like 2005, 2006. This is my first time really, training for a fight. But I think I want y'all to watch it. I think y'all gonna be surprised. I think y'all will be happy with, the way I look in the ring, though.
Why are you doing this though? Is it because it's some competitive need to do something to challenge yourself? Like you could do that in football.
I've always been around it, and when you see like Jay Paul, like all the celebrity boxing, I just wanted to give a chance. I just wanted to, try it out and see how would I do, because I always liked the boxing, and I see December 18th, man. I want y'all to, my fans to really, watch it and tell me what y'all think. Hopefully I go out there, I'm gonna do my thing, get this win, and bring it back to Miami.
Hell yeah.
But Frank, you're going to treat the first round as like a feeling out process, right? Just to size up Darren Williams, and then second, third round, you're going to kick his ass, correct?
Well, Frank Gore's never been about like he's not.
Well, that's what he said. He said it earlier.
But he's not the guy who's going to sell a fight. Like Frank Gore is not a talker. He's not going to be out here.
That's why I'm trying to sell it for feeling out process first round, Frank, and then kick his ass second round, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna see how he move around, and then I can go from there. But I know he's gonna have some type of skills, because he's been around MMA a lot. He's been doing it for like 6-7 years. So I know I just can't go in there thinking that I could go in there and just beat him up, because no one will get in the ring if they feel like they can't do it. They're not pretty good. So
Nate Robinson did.
Frank.
Yeah, but I think Nate Robinson took Jake Paul for a joke, man. Didn't know that he really, because you gotta understand, like Nate Robinson, professional, like athlete, and at the time he probably looked at Jake Paul just as a YouTuber. He probably felt like, my athletic, he could beat him, just because, he moved better, he's stronger, faster, but, they didn't know that Jake Paul really take boxing real serious. I bet Nate won't get in there again, and without probably training, just not taking it as serious as Jake did. I think this next time he ever get in, I bet he'll look way better than what he did the first time.
When you beat Darren Williams, do you want a piece of Jake Paul next? Is that what you're going for?
I don't know. I got like I said, my first time training for a fight, and it's tough, man. It's tough on your body, man. It's totally different, getting ready for a season, because every day, man, it's really like pounding, a lot of pounding, man, and sparring. So I don't know. I'm gonna see, man. I'm gonna see how I like it that night, if I enjoy it, and my fans think I look good and think I should get an opportunity. And Jake want to fight me. I'll see if I do it or not.
Frank, that's funny. This sport is tough on your body, really. Like this one's tough on your body. This one.
It's tough.
I'm just saying, this one, like your body, what does your body feel like right now after almost 2 damn decades of running harder than people are supposed to run and missing games? Like never missing games. You were always available.
But you gotta understand, like, I've been playing football my whole life, man. So it's like, I knew what to expect with training. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. Now I'm still learning, and I'm going against guys in the gym who better than me. So it's like, I'm thinking and I'm getting, hit. So it's different. It's different. But I think, December 18th, I think, my fan, I think y'all will be proud of how I'm looking at it.
Frank, thank you for being on with us. You have been somebody who Miami has always watched you with great pride. Thank you, sir.
Kick his ass, Frank.
You may have heard Stugotz mutter under his breath the results of our latest poll. I don't know if you heard what he just said, but whether he doesn't know when he's on mic or not, he's always the same person. And what he announced is to the max is bleeping kicking ass. That to the max, what is happening in the vote tabulation of how much of a must win is tonight for the Cowboys? Because I got to get to this breaking news I have not gotten to yet.
Right.
The choices are 0, 50, or to the max, 100. How many votes has it gotten, and what is the percentage breakdown?
The number of votes, excuse me, is, I owe some money there, 2,632 votes. That's how many votes they've gotten. How much do I owe there? $5?
$5, same as always.
Put it in. I happen to have a 5 on me, a little 5 ski. Right now, 0 is at 12.7%.
Mike, were you as startled as I was that was as easy as it was? That it just
I
feels
owed
like,
it. I mean,
but it feels like that doesn't happen.
I appreciate you owning it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I did what I did. I
Always
owned
listening. That's the construct of this whole thing.
Dan has put $300 in the into the bucket this week, and so I got to pay my fines around here. You know. Anyway, where were we? 2,632 votes. Doesn't seem like a lot.
No, but it's early. It's early.
Perhaps it's a bad question. I don't know.
What?
I'm just saying.
What?
I'm just putting it out there. Anyway.
Perhaps it's a bad question.
What do you
mean? What do you mean? Perhaps it's a bad question.
2,632 votes. That's all I mean.
It's not the question's fault.
Okay. Sorry. My apologies to the question. Anyway, 50 has 2% of those votes. 0 has 12.7% of the votes. And to the max, 60.3% of the votes.
You're kidding me. We're there. All right. So we are there. It's a to the max game, but the breaking news is bigger than the to the max game. I didn't think that there could be a bigger than the to the max game, but here is the breaking news, and I need to know what to make of it, okay? You guys are going to need to help me. I don't know if you saw this, Jessica. You're a Steelers fan.
If I may. All right. To the max should not be the answer. They have a 2-game lead in the division. All right? They have games in hand against their division opponents.
But the football team is coming, Mike.
To suggest that this thing is anything other than a nothing or probably nothing is blasphemy.
I will
Hold
go to
on.
the ocean again.
Okay.
I will do it again because this is a must-win game for the Saints.
It is.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
They're 7-4.
The Cowboys are on a 2-game losing streak.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Playing
They're
an opponent with a
7-4.
losing record.
They're 7-4. The next closest team is 5-6. I know math.
I gotta be scared of Taylor Heineke.
Come on, Blizzards.
You know math. What is the math of 0, 50, and to the max? What do you mean you know math?
This is not a must-win game.
It's a to the max game. I didn't say it was a must-win game. I said
They
it was a
can
to
lose.
the max game.
It's not to the max if they can lose and the teams chasing them can all win and they're still in first. Can't possibly be a must-win.
But they play
To the
Washington twice in the rest of the season. They
Which
play.
is also why it's not a
They're
must-win,
on a
by the
3-game
way.
win streak right now.
But it's not a must-win to the max. It's simply that they control their own destiny.
You're so wrong about this. It can't be a 0.
Yes, it can be.
I would have voted for 50. Apparently, that's the least
Not at all 50.
It
the
can't
least
be a
common
0.
answer.
I probably owe some more money. 27, and your math is terrible. 27% of the people said 50. Okay,
You said 2%.
I know what I said, and what I
How
said
do you
was
get that wrong?
How do you say our math is terrible?
Well, I mean, no one caught me on it, but 60% of the
wait,
people
what?
said to the max. I mean,
You didn't tell us how many votes it had. Like we weren't doing the
I said
statistics in our heads.
2,632, 60%, 2%, 12%, which adds up to 74%. No one called me out on it.
We're all bad at math.
Yeah,
Not you.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm bad at reading.
You know what? Stugotz is
Well,
right.
guess what?
We should have known
That
that.
is also a fine.
Thank you.
That is also a fine.
All right, I'm putting some money in.
Reading the internet wrong.
I'm putting 10 in. I'm taking back a 5 ski.
Oh, look.
Why'd you
I
get so much
little
cash?
text
Donated
game.
to
I
that.
just saw a bunch of hundreds, by the way.
Yes, you did.
How embarrassing.
Good gambling week.
What's the Steelers news? I'm scared.
What does that have to do with a good gambling week? What does that have to do with having cash?
I got paid in $100 bills. I mean,
You still meet
I'm still doing it the old school way,
behind
man.
a Walmart?
I don't feel like I'm
Stugotz is
gambling.
an app now.
Yeah, listen, I don't care about apps. I need to feel like I'm gambling. It makes me feel alive. I call my picks in. I meet a guy every Monday or Tuesday. If I hit my limit or if, he hits his limit, I meet him. There's an exchange.
You are
There's
not still calling in picks.
There's money in an envelope. Yes, I am.
That's old school.
Yes,
Does
I
your
am.
phone have a cord also?
Yes, I am. Yeah. Now, listen, there is a site. If I don't get to the site on time, okay,
There it
and
is.
again, I like to bet at the very last minute
There
because
is
it makes
what,
me
the-
feel
the
alive.
The lie.
Here,
Oh, no,
here's
there's
what-
a phone. There's a number I can call.
Well, I know you can call somebody,
Yeah.
but you put your bets in online. It's fine. I know it sounds good.
Chris, I put many a bet in on the telephone. You never have, and I'm telling you, it feels better. Okay?
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Does it feel better to make a bet by picking up a phone and calling a bookie than it does to do it
But then there's no
online?
record of it. Then can't you just like call him after and be like, nah, I said the Jets. What are you talking about, buddy?
He writes it down in a little black book. That's what he does.
Wait a minute. What just happened here over my left shoulder? I just saw, let me hold on a second. Somebody tell me what is happening over my left shoulder, because while you guys were talking, Mike Ryan and Jessica were looking at the television behind me, and I don't know what's on it, but I can only describe what was in both their eyes as something that looked like longing.
Lust. Yeah. Marcus Freeman.
What do you mean?
Dude's got it going on. Notre Dame.
How so?
He is so goddamn handsome. He found a barber. He looks a lot better in Notre Dame than he's looked at any of his other stops, by the way. He started hitting the gym.
Oh, good call.
He looks so great.
You
Let me
guys
tell you, if that dude came into my living room asking me for my kid to go to his school, he's leaving with me. He is.
You ain't kidding. I'm seeing him for the first time.
Touchdown. Jesus. He's super handsome. That's one of the best looking men in football. Hands down.
Wow. I guess I've never thought about it.
Yeah, you've
That's
never
knowledge.
you've never noticed?
No,
you've never gone kiss me, I'm Irish?
No one's ever mentioned. I just haven't looked at him that I don't look at him like he's a piece of meat,
I
Mike.
have evidence to the contrary.
Excuse me?
Evidence?
Evidence. I've received some messages.
Hold on a second. What are you talking about?
Proof?
Yes, I have proof. That what Jessica is saying right now is an absolute load of rubbish.
Oh my God. What are you talking about?
Rubbish. If I may, before we get to the load of rubbish accusation, I just want it known that I wasn't totally sure what was happening over my left shoulder because I was looking at Jessica and Mike, and I'm not joking that they were both looking at the screen with the same kind of longing. But now that you're giving me the information, I was still viewing it as, oh, Jessica's just happy she's got a new coach, that Notre Dame is
Thrilled.
stable. Their assistants are
I
staying.
am too.
Tommy Reese is staying.
Who cares about that guy?
I do.
I thought that perhaps she was looking at it through a sports fan's
As long as the
eyes.
camera cuts go to one man.
Just stay on Marcus.
He is really freaking handsome. I can't be alone on this, right?
No, great looking.
He's got it cooking. He's cooking with gas.
Yeah.
Put this
The
on
fighting I wish.
Put this on the poll at LeBatard Show. Is Marcus the most smoking guy in coaching? Has he gone right to the top? Has he gone right to the top of all of sports right now today?
That's an interesting poll question. It's just never something that I've noticed or talked about, really.
Whittingham, what's the proof that you have that you are leveling?
Yeah, Whittingham, what the hell are you
This
talking
is not
about?
the first time that Jessica has noticed the attractiveness of one Marcus Freeman.
Smoldering. I'm wondering if Brian Kelly feels a little insecure that that's what's replacing him because Brian Kelly's not that.
I wonder if Brian Kelly's insecure that none of his assistants went to LSU with him.
I wouldn't have
They're
gone
all
either.
staying
I'd
in
stay
South
as
Bend.
close to him as I possibly could.
Marcus Freeman would never be caught dead sitting alone in Lake Tahoe.
That
Never.
is absolutely right, Chris. That is the first thing I thought about last night when I heard that they're hiring him, expected to hire him. I thought, that's a guy who's got a lot of people talking his ear off in Lake Tahoe.
How has his bone structure gotten better? Is he doing that IG thing? It's like a ball that you chew and then your cheekbones get out. I've gotten that on my algorithm a little bit. Is he doing that?
A ball that you
Yeah,
chew.
it's like a
What's the
hexagonal
most
ball.
absurd thing you've gotten on your IG ads?
That's got to be
It has
it.
to be up there, right?
No, it's a ball that you chew on and it gives you a jawline. I'm potentially staring down the barrel of being bald, so I need to do whatever I can.
Jawline's very
A little jaw
important.
ball.
Very important quality.
Just chew all over a ball and look handsome.
To become a dog?
Hell yeah.
It's kind of like a chew toy for midlife crisis.
Are you guys ready for the breaking news in the NFL that I've been trying to get to? I saw it on Pro Football Talk. It involves the Steelers, and I can't believe, Jessica, that you have not heard this yet. I don't know.
Do you think he calls one of his sexual positions at South Bend?
Mike, Jesus.
I'm just saying.
But the joke that I
We like
whispered
to
to
have
you
fun.
wasn't appropriate.
I'm not going to joke about Golden Dome. I won't. All right? I will stop short.
He has principles.
What about French lick? Didn't we make that? We made
Wishbone.
He's a very handsome man to the point that it's like pretty striking. Come on. Right, fellas.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. All right, you know what? Yes, we're in agreement here, and I'm not comfortable with this amount of objectification.
How much have you seen of this guy?
I'm not comfortable with this either.
Not enough.
Okay.
I want to see more of him.
I wonder if there's any shirtless on the internet. Let's see.
So do I. No, you could. The way that he's built with those white Under Armour training garbs that he wears, like not a lot. Yeah, not a lot left of the imagination.
No shirtless.
I
got Jim Harbaugh shirtless.
You do? What?
I see one. I typed in Tommy Rees shirtless and a picture of Jim Harbaugh shirtless.
He's still wearing khakis.
Yeah, he is wearing khakis. Yeah. He's on the field.
Wow. Yeah. Can you send me that?
Is it like 20 degrees? Is Harbaugh coaching a game in Michigan, or is he running around with the players shirtless?
Freeman's biceps are so big.
Oh, Harbaugh looks. Wow. He looks a bit like an uncooked piece of chicken
breast. I was going to say the same thing, Dan.
I'm telling you, man, finding the right barber is just like it's a game changer. Freeman looks like a totally different person without this haircut.
Are both of you ready to be glued to that Alabama-Georgia game this weekend because of the stakes?
No, I've decided I'm not watching it. I'm just gonna be walking around Disney World. I can't watch it.
I'm okay with it.
And I'm very confident in Georgia's ability, but I feel like if I watch it, I'll be a mess because the more I think about this, like I kind of feel like my hair's on a comeback. I'm doing a little collagen supplement. I'm feeling a little good about things right now. I got the mullet exactly where I wanted it to be, and this is going to be a reset and something that I may not come back from. So I'm going to be a little nervous, and I don't want to watch it.
I told my wife, bet is on, and she wasn't nervous for me. She was nervous on behalf of Mike. Now, she loves Mike. She thinks Mike's a handsome guy. She's afraid for Mike because she doesn't want Mike to lose his hair. I mean, so I'm fine with it. I've already done it, so.
It's kind of odd that your wife's a little bit more worried about me.
She is worried about you. She thinks it's a dumb bet. She thinks Alabama is going to win, and she knows how much you care about your hair and your looks. Okay,
they don't even need to win. If Georgia wins by 3, Mike still loses.
I know. She thinks it's a bad bet for you. Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Probably, but you talked me into giving you this spread. If I didn't give you this spread, there would be no bet. I played the game by your rules, so here we are. And given my history this year, this probably speaks very poorly for my chances.
It's been a bad year for you.
Yeah, it's been bad.
The linebacker for the Steelers, Jessica, his name, does he pronounce it Schobert? Joe Schobert? Is that how he pronounces it?
Yeah. He's a former Brown, and he forced the fumble in that game, and I knew as soon as the Jags traded Schobert back to Pittsburgh, this was going to happen.
This is the breaking news that I was promising you guys today, and my question to you is going to be posed afterward. But on Pro Football Talk, reported Joe Schobert has been talked to, and he said that at Wednesday's practice, quote, pads were popping.
Wow.
That is breaking news.
You know what that means? Steelers-Ravens week. That's what that is.
Yep.
The Steelers-Ravens. Pads are popping.
I thought you were going to talk about the controversy brewing in Pittsburgh about Chase Claypool's comments about playing music at practice, because that has been the storyline going into this Ravens game.
Are you familiar with this, guys? Oh, just learn them.
Well, obviously, the Bengals game on Sunday did not go so well. And at media on Monday, Chase Claypool told the media, they asked him, like, what's something that you guys think you could do at practice that would improve things, blah, blah, blah.
Claypool, who played dirty on Sunday. Like, he was frustrated, and Claypool was out there doing things that made things dirtier.
No comment. So Claypool said, he's a Notre Dame guy, Dan. We don't turn on our own.
Isn't Claypool the guy that like does a bunch of TikToks during practice and stuff?
That's Juju Smith-Schuster.
No, Claypool's on TikTok too.
Claypool does too.
No, Claypool's definitely on TikTok.
Bunch of guys not paying attention to football.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
Not enough people respecting the
Duke.
Duke.
Not paying attention to football. All right, mister, I use a payphone to make bets.
Whatever. I mean, but I'm paying attention. I'm doing what I have to do. I'm digging deep to get that bet in.
And in his defense, he actually has cash today.
Anyways, Claypool said, I think something we could do is play music at practice, paraphrasing here. And so that is a big no-no to suggest that you should play music at practice.
Tomlin doesn't like that. Nobody likes
Tomlin
that.
had an all-time, I'll find the Tomlin quote. He had an all-time Tomlinism. Cam Hayward came back and was like, basically like shut it down very, very quickly. And so there has been controversy brewing about
no music
at
We
practice.
can't
Let
have
me find the
music at
Tomlin
practice.
quote.
Just
Dan.
pads
You'll love it.
popping.
Just
Yeah.
pads
Ryan
popping.
Clark apparently was very in the camp of this is Steelers. We don't play music at practice.
Well, but Stugotz is right. Pads popping is music at
Yes.
Steelers practice. That is
It's music to Mike Tomlin's ears.
That's the
I mean,
only
yeah.
kind of music Mike Tomlin wants to hear.
I imagine all his Christmas music is just pads clashing
We gotta
to the
do
Christmas
that.
song.
Mike, get on that over
Helmets.
the holidays. Just create a Christmas album made out of just football sounds.
So Mike Tomlin's quote. Mike Tomlin's quote. Is this Witten getting out of bed again? Tomlin's quote was, Claypool plays wide out, and I'll let him do that. I'll formulate the practice approach, and I think that division of labor is appropriate.
I was talking to Billy Corbin the other day about how the documentary business is going, and he was talking about how the sports documentary has kind of withered away, and this is going to change more and more in coming years. Guys, I don't know if you've seen some of what Showtime is doing, but when these production companies that are making athletes accessible allow the athletes to tell their own stories, you get a whole bunch of homogenized stuff that doesn't ring authentic. And I don't think people want to watch, but I might be wrong about this because there was a 10-part series on Michael Jordan that has now spawned Tom Brady doing that, and Magic Johnson's going to do that, and Derek Jeter's going to do that. But Billy Corbin, I'll have a longer conversation with him about that somewhere where you guys can, his insight is fascinating on this subject. And I love sports documentaries. I love well-done sports documentaries. But one of the forms that is now making an appearance in the documentary sphere that's not sports related is sort of the instant documentary on some sort of news item where you can gather a lot of information fast. And Hulu has a documentary coming out very quickly on everything that happened with Travis Scott at Astroworld. And
Wow, they're turning around that quickly, huh?
very, very, I don't know how soon, but Hulu has made a deal. And all I know, and please, if you guys can inform me more on this, I'm wanting to hear more information because I've read some things about needles in a crowd, and I've read some things about.
Yeah, that don't. You probably shouldn't give the needles in the crowd thing voice because that was disproven.
The reason I'm doing that is because my information here is partial. What I saw was a video in which I saw security getting basically trampled by people rushing into Astroworld, and then people died, and Travis Scott kept going on with the performance, and not because I'm not informed here, I have wondered without enough information. People die, these are serious things. I have wondered, well, how responsible should Travis Scott be as a performer who kept performing through the fact that people were getting crushed and were calling for help? How responsible should Travis Scott be? But I'm admitting that on the front end here, I don't have very much information about what happened here.
The way I understand it was that several people tried to warn security that something like this was potentially going to happen at Astroworld at that actual concert.
It's it's a music festival,
Yes.
and it's irrefutable. There's plenty of video that shows that people were essentially begging for others' lives, and first responders had a lot of difficulty reaching people that were in need, all while this concert was still going on, while the headliner played.
He is being
Scott.
sued for a lot of money. Travis Scott, and I told you, Stugotz, when I saw one of these Netflix documentaries pop up on Travis Scott, I was blown away. I had not known before seeing that documentary at how strong his audience is, and
Right.
I was not aware that he could fill sprawling arenas because of his energy. Not that he could headline music festivals is not something that I was aware of.
Does he encourage his crowd to rush the stage, though? Because I think that's a
Yeah.
big part of this.
So it's complicated because I actually tend to agree. Chuck D put out a statement, Chuck D, a Public Enemy, that was kind of in defense of Travis Scott that says, why is this all a Travis Scott story? These big companies, Live Nation, they're totally absolved. Because Travis Scott grabs the headlines. Okay, so it was run by Travis Scott. Hey, stop the concert. Why is it his call? You're producing it. Why are you giving all the power? It's convenient to not put this on the festival organizers. And I know Travis Scott is a part of that. But ultimately, if something is unsafe, he's not the public company that is behind it. So I don't want to put this all on Travis Scott. But I will say Travis Scott does have a very concerning history of a lot of reckless and dangerous behavior. Festivals that I've been to. I was at that Lollapalooza where he encouraged violence at one person. I have seen him act super inappropriately in ways that encourage violence at shows before that made me feel uncomfortable as it was happening.
I want to get back to this documentary because to me, it feels irresponsible. Part of why documentaries are good is because A, we've had enough time to kind of really process what's happened, and B, they've had enough time to collect good, real information explaining what's happened. The investigation is still ongoing. This thing just happened, and for you to come out with a documentary called Astroworld, Concert from Hell, this is tabloid journalism, albeit in the video form.
We don't know when, though, the date.
When it's coming out?
Right.
Let me see,
Well, typically, documentaries need a lot of time to sift through this video. Unfortunately, this was a documentary that played out in real time. I have seen hundreds of videos from when that festival, from before it even opened its gates, because a lot of the gates were crashed.
It's a horror movie. It seemed from the very start, okay? If you saw the video of people just running in, and it was unclear, right? Security, horses, everybody was trying to stop people, and they were just pouring into the place and sprinting past security and horses to get where they were going. It was unclear whether they had paid, whether they cared to pay, but it looked chaotic before it started, and then people died.
Not knowing who the filmmaker is or what the general vibe of this documentary is, like, I guess, I mean, I'm curious how you can call it tabloid journalism without having read or seen about it. I haven't read what you've read, but like, what is the difference between like a 30-minute feature on 60 Minutes with a journalist versus this being on Hulu? I don't know.
Well, a couple things. One is when you make a documentary, which is how it is framed on Hulu, there is a level of, I think, gravitas to that goes beyond a news report, one. Two, they called it Concert from Hell.
You've already decided what the framing is going to be.
Exactly.
Well,
like
I think it's fair to classify what happened at Astroworld as hellish. It was a mass casualty event.
I think it's that, but it's not even just that. There are so many places where people listening to this or people watching don't have a connection point on empathy, on whatever it is. All of us can imagine the horror of being trampled to death, asking for help. People don't care. Musicians won't stop. The party won't stop. And then you are dead. All of us can imagine the horror of that. So Concert from Hell feels, feels fair within that context, no matter who's responsible.
It's sensationalist, though. You're choosing language, like Witty said. You're choosing language. It's not even about describing what happened, right? It's about how can I grab people's attention, right? To me, there's
okay. So like Astroworld, what happened is not necessarily leading the jury,
right? Like tragedy at Astroworld is not the same as Concert from Hell.
Yeah.
It just
right. I get what you're saying.
And given again, this isn't like it's a year later and they've combed through all this video and interviewed tons of people and come out with this very well documented, reported documentary. It's literally like, this thing just happened.
Right, but I think
people are still grieving.
But I think they're doing a lot of the work on it. So I don't think that they've decided that that's what the title's going to be.
Date, do we not? Like
it's available now. I just showed Stugotz a screenshot of the play button on Hulu. So, I mean, I guess I could watch it and then report back.
More background on Travis Scott and his history. In 2017, there was a concert in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where he encouraged fans to rush the stage. Several people, including a police officer, got hurt. A New York show that was fairly infamous. He was telling fans to jump from a tier above. Someone fractured their vertebrae, and he was praising their fearlessness. The Lollapalooza situation was incredibly ugly, where he told the crowd to kick someone's ass because he tried to take his shoe, and he begged his fans to beat the shit out of someone that was in this crowd. He routinely tells people to rush the stage. He puts his fans in dangerous situations. It's a high-energy show, and he has a younger audience, which actually goes into the tragic casualties that went into this. In the Woodstock documentary that I'm sure you saw that HBO put out, they tried to pin a lot of the behavior that happened during the Limp Bizkit set in particular on Fred Durst, inciting a riot. I do think Travis Scott, as a performer, has a responsibility to rein in something if it is indeed being relayed to him that it's getting out of hand, and he shouldn't necessarily incite that. However, when we look at the chart here of who's most responsible, it's the money. You don't just say, yeah, it's Travis. It's a licensing agreement, for Christ's sakes. I know it's Travis Scott and it's Astroworld. He's not chairman of a board deciding what the safety protocols is. That's why you bring in a production company.
I wonder how much responsibility should go to Travis Scott, because when something horrible happens, the next thing that happens with the people absorbing it, if they feel helpless, is who do I blame? Where do I blame? It's impossible to blame something faceless. But a guy storming around on stage when I'm finding horrifying video of people screaming because they're being trampled to death, hey, won't you stop the show? I'm not blaming anyone else on the stage. I'm not blaming any people with wires, anybody else. I'm not blaming by name security, anybody who was closer, anybody who wasn't performing, anybody who can't hear. Like I'm closer to what was happening in the crowd. I'm not blaming any of them. I'm blaming the one guy they all gathered around to see. That's because that's the only guy I know. I don't know any of the other names.
And to me, as damning to Travis Scott's character as all the video that's readily available, not just that night, but all the previous performances, I think that actually puts more blame on Live Nation because Travis Scott is capable of this. That actually incentivizes the reason why you have a proper security protocol in place, why you have more first responders in place because he has this history.
So this is something else. I don't know if it's been reported or not, but a lot of the security people at these concerts and festivals post-COVID are people who have never worked security before. I mean, there's the people who were doing these jobs before.
They were new to the job.
They're like not just new to the job.
Yeah.
Like I've heard stories of security guys where it's like, this is my first time.
Right.
And it's like working a festival. Like, no, this is my first time working security. Like their introduction to concert security.
I almost always think, you guys correct me if I'm wrong about this. I almost always think if I see a person acting as security at any of these things, oh, they're just wearing a shirt. They're just a person wearing a shirt that says security. I don't expect like training in CPR. I don't expect.
Live Nation has gotten off the hook. They flatly have, and I think Chuck D. I'm going to read part of his statement because I do think it's poignant. I cannot believe we're at the point I got to say this out loud. Travis Scott is a performer, an act, not a concert promoter. He doesn't run the sound or the venues or the festivals or their staff. He doesn't build stages, coordinate logistics. He is not an expert in crowd control or security or emergency medical services. But he does trust Live Nation and all other concert promoters who are supposed to do all of this. And yet here we are, 10 deaths and counting, 10 broken families. He also goes on to say, I'm calling on Michael Rapinoe's entire team at Live Nation and the consortium of all major concert promoters to do the right thing, to step up and out of the shadows, fix these situations, save lives, and stop letting one young black man take the blame, the hate, the fall. We don't know everything that happened or exactly what failed, but concert promoters have all the power to make the changes to keep everyone safe and alive.
Chuck T, I mean, God
It's the voice
almighty.
of God right
I mean, fight the power. Like he's just very good at what he does and has been for 4 or 5 damn decades.
Also, avid listener of NBA radio. He tweets me constantly when I'm on air.
He's a big sports fan, and that is very important.
Had to get that in there.
It's a very important part of the Astroworld story. You sit in Greg Cody's chair and you become Greg Cody? Like, Chuck D, I know. Let me give you all the information I have on Chuck D. He loves me. He listens to when I talk. Thank you, Amin, for all your contributions to that portion of the conversation. Jessica, I wanted to thank the fans of this show, and it was a marvel to watch some of what was happening with Juju last night, where, and this is something that I am hugely grateful for, and we are hugely grateful for, and I also am surprised by every time it happens. The people who are proud of the amount of minutes they have spent listening to this show over the years. I remember one day Stugotz on the Highly Questionable set before I had gotten on there. because our audience is really, really unusual. This is a fractured market. Everyone with a microphone can do a podcast now. And Mina she didn't know I was there. I was walking up and I was miking up and she didn't know I was there. And she was talking to Pablo and a few other people. And she's like, it doesn't make any sense to me that people listen to that for 3 hours, like a day, like 3-4 hours. Like, how do you listen to 3-4 hours a day? And then there were a whole bunch, like just an army of people out there yesterday, like proudly wearing the badge of, 30,000 minutes, 50,000 or 50,000 episodes or what? I don't even know the minutes of the episodes. I was just confused by all of it.
50,000 episodes in a year?
No, but there was one set of numbers that I didn't even understand. I'm like, how did you listen for 90,000 minutes?
What was the highest? I think Juju has the answer. There was someone who had the highest amount of minutes. And I think the highest I saw was like 31,000 minutes, which is the equivalent of like 3 weeks or something like that of just listening to this show.
Nonstop.
It was unbelievable.
No, but and the one I saw was either 70 or 90,000. I was just confused by the numbers or the ways that you guys listen to this. And I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the show for like sticking with us on what has been a really turbulent, crazy year for us, and we're in the middle of just erecting new studios and trying to figure out how to become a television show and radio show that feels exactly like the one that you've grown accustomed to. But that fueled us, just so you know. I haven't thanked you in a while on this front, and it was just moving to watch how proud people were that they've wasted so much of their life listening to this garbage.
I was disturbed to see that Spotify told me I listened to the show for 9,000 minutes because I'm on the show. Like, that is a foul amount.
Navel gazing.
To the show.
It's less than Stugotz, though. Like, he's in the middle of it.
No one has listened less, yes.
You're tripping over each other to make that joke.
Dude, Stugotz isn't listening when he's just sitting there.
His metrics is like 4 minutes tops.
The show that I wasn't on a few weeks ago.
Very generous.
So Stugotz goes, "What's off the looking glass?" I'm like, "Geez, you don't listen to any of this."
Oh God.
I didn't know what it was.
I would say don't ever change.
I won't.
But just a little, please. Just change, like a little bit, or just show interest. I feel like I'm talking to my dad. Just give me an effort. Just show me that you hear me and you're gonna make some effort to change all the things I hate about you.
I promise you, I won't.
I like the idea that even if we counted the minutes that Stugotz is sitting in that chair right now, he still comes in at around 4 minutes.
Four total minutes. That's what we're saying. He's been
and I'm telling you, that's being generous.
He's been checking golf scores since 2004 every day during the show.
Some of those golf scores from 2004 are still on his tabs.
I can't close them.
Whittingham, last night.
Jim Furyk so high on this leaderboard?
Whittingham, last night I imagined you because this is strange that after all these years, and Amin loves to fly in, everybody loves to fly in to Miami and be around Heat games. Stephen A. Smith only roots for the Heat so that he can have a reason to come to Miami. But the first 10 rows of Heat games specifically remain a marvel, do they not? Like, it is a different... The first 10 rows of a Miami Heat game, I would argue, is unlike anything that we've seen in Miami sports ever. Just the zoo, the carnival, the circus of wealthy and absurd people.
I watched about 4 minutes of basketball by the time the fourth quarter arrived. I hadn't been to a Heat game, I'd probably say in like 3 years. And so I decided I'll splurge. I'll get some good seats. I sat in row 8 behind one of the baskets. And the entire time I am just staring at people who, from all walks of life. A European dude sits down 3 seats away from me and is vaping in the middle of the arena. I was blown away. It's like, you're just openly vaping in the middle of an arena. I genuinely think there was a porn star in row 2 because a group of about...
How do you know?
Adult film.
Because there was a group of about 8 to 9 teenage / young 20-year-olds who were fired up to take a picture. And this one guy, after taking a picture, this woman goes, "Yeah!" Like a full fist pump and like a life achievement had been unlocked.
I know you guys are trying to shade him. I believe with the context clues, you could piece it together. It's not experience there. The guy has a pinup of Betty Grable in his room, for God's sakes.
With one of those swimsuits that's like a onesie, but it looks like shorts.
Yeah, like, doesn't know what Brassers is, man.
Brassers.
Tom Kite still in second place.